Max, you know what your next investment is for your studio now that you have a nice wooded background?
I definitely need to get like a podcast mic. That's going to be my
that
next
too.
one.
Yes. That should be something that you get. A new chair, because that thing is loud.
Yeah, I need to be perfectly still for the whole time of recording.
And I've like you and JQ's mouses are the loudest mice I've ever heard. Is it a Finnish thing? Like click, click, click.
I don't know. I don't know actually why that is. It's weird.
I don't know either. Anyway, we got some fun things to talk about. We got some ranking systems to look at, and we got some news to geek out on. So let's drop that intro and get talking about RC.
Nitro is the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this grabbing races.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right. You know?
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Leslie the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Here we go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no! I like this.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Nitro's the glory, but E-Buggy pays bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to show number 232 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, a.k.a. Left to the Great. To my immediate left of his extremely loud mouse is Maximus Mortis. You are having some sort of audio issues today, and I have this flashing thing going on. I don't know what's going on today.
I don't know what's happening here.
I don't know. So I tried to fix that flashy thing. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know. But anyway, everybody, welcome to show number 232 of the No Name RC podcast. Max and I are doing an early show this week. It's Tuesday. No, Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday that we'll record. No, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday today. As we're recording this.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Tuesday as we're recording this.
I was out yesterday. I came home at like 3 a.m. So I'm a bit lost on what day.
That's what happens when you're a young college student. You go hanging out. But it is Tuesday as we're recording this because, hey, man, I am off to Florida on Thursday. Well, late tomorrow evening. And I'm super pumped about that. Thank you to everybody that jumped in on the waffle and did that. I really appreciate it. It's, I'm going to be spending 12 days here in the Southeast. It's like a little NNRC Southeast tour. Thank you to Lance McDonald and Dany Paz for making it happen, and everybody that bought a waffle ticket. We did the drawing yesterday. And congratulations to Oscar Calderon, I believe. He won it. So congratulations to him. And he actually runs Associated, so it worked out perfectly. He got a new Associated E-Buggy, and it's pretty cool. So I got to go to 3 races, because I'm going to pop up to the Carpet Nats as well and hang out there for a bit. Maybe do some interviews with them. Or do some content for myself and just kind of geeking out on RC in the Southeast for a few days. And of course, we going up to the North Georgia Shoot Up in Tiger with Dany and Lance to work with them. And I'm really looking forward to hanging out with people, seeing people, having a few frosty beverages and enjoying the Southeast RC community. So thank you to everybody. I'm super pumped about that. Super pumped. Also, we have to say some thank yous and all that stuff before we go on, Max. I'd like to say thank you to all of the NNRC squad around the world. I greatly appreciate your support. The YouTube's slowly growing. I mean, I know we do these long podcasts, but we really would appreciate if you guys could hit that sub like, notification, or dislike button. Leave a comment. If you're listening to this on an audio platform, please leave a review. And also help us share, because I think there's not enough people listening to the No Name RC podcast. And I think we talk about enough stuff on her that somebody can find something interesting. So, but we greatly appreciate your support. And it's a gradual trickle of just things going up. As long as it's going up, that's all I care about. But I like to see some sparks. Let's get to 4,000 subs on the YouTube. That would be a goal I like to get done by summer, if we can do that, people. That would help me out, please. It would make things great. And we got some content coming up, because I'll be doing a lot of my walkabouts and all that stuff here over the next 12 days. And then obviously I'm going to Portugal as well to do my stuff there. Also, thank you to the patrons of the NNRC. We can't do that without you guys. You guys get early release. I know I keep saying as soon as we're doing a patron only podcast, it's just time. I've got my kids now, spending a lot more time with them. My wife's been working, so I'm had to work at her bar, so I'm had to look after the kids a little bit more. And yeah, my daughter would love to come here and be in the studio, but she won't be quiet, so I can't have her. Thank you for everybody for your help. You will get early release of this podcast, and you get special giveaways and whatnot as well. Thank you to them, also to YouTube members. If you wish to be a member, there are links for this in the written description of this podcast. Also, we cannot do this without sponsors and companies that support the podcast as well. Thank you to all the companies that support us. We are looking for some supporters for the IBC race. If you're interested, hit me up. We're doing some content there. But thank you to Visible Speed, High Tech RC, Sun Pedal USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Ignite Design RC, Bringing Gas Truck Back, Racecraft USA. Shout out to Carl RC. Got some of their product right here. What's up, Heath? WRCE, House of RC, RCGP. Shout out to our drivers, Dave Ronicle, Jared T-Bill, Robert Batty, and Alexander Hagberg, who we're going to be talking about because he won again. And we have a new sponsor that sponsors our hot laps. So you'll find out about that where we do it. Max, we have one shout out here. We have shout out to he's kind of helping us out, or he has joined the team, helping us out behind the scenes and doing what he does well is finding out knowledge and getting little tidbits. BJ Williams, he's helping us out with these notes. He's helping us out with the last couple of weeks. So we officially welcome him on the team. Welcome to the team, BJ. He has a GoFund set up for him. He just had knee surgery and his knee injury is trying to recover from that. If you guys wish to help him out, we'll have the GoFund in the written in the written description of this podcast. And so I don't really have any more shout outs. There was somebody's birthday this week that I said happy birthday. This is me. Never writing it down. Oh, I'll remember. Boom. Never remember. But it was quite a few birthdays this week, and I'm sorry, but I forgot them all. Max, are you there?
Yeah. I have to say I'm not surprised, but I guess we can
birthdays I've missed.
Yeah. We need to organize this somehow.
I mean, but I think, I don't know. Maybe just write some things down. That would help. I'm so bad at that.
Yeah, that definitely would be a start.
I'm so bad at that. But let's see. Happy birthday to Dean Saxton. His birthday was the other day. Andrea Tresavant, his birthday was the other day. Eddie Finnick, he's a supporter of the podcast, listening to this for a long time. David Burkett as well. Shout out to Michael Lee Knight. His birthday was the other day. Jason Stubbs, Justin Williams, John Sneakers, our friend in Holland. My boy Alex Candido, his birthday. He's my friend. That's the tallest friend that I have. He's like 7'1". He lives in England. Happy birthday to Brett, Adam Vink. Matt Olson had a birthday. Jody DeAngelo, Troy Nicholson, Josh Wheeler. What a legend he was. If you guys want to learn more about Josh Wheeler, I don't know what episode it is, but it was a good episode. I think that's it. Mark Pavitas had a birthday. Or has a birthday coming up tomorrow. Congratulations and happy birthday to Mark Pavitas. That's actually somebody that I need to get back on the podcast. Sit him down.
Yeah.
He has a good mic and all that stuff. He's not driving his car. And have another good chat. He says he listens to every one of these podcasts too. I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
Happy,
I
happy,
think
happy.
it's like every time there's one of those guys who's traveled to so many races, raced for like so long, and kind of been within the industry for so long. There's always like such good stories within there. So
Yeah, and he doesn't have to be so politically correct now, so he can say stuff that I think
yeah.
maybe he doesn't want to throw anybody under the bus, but you know what I mean. All righty. I think that's it, Max. We're gonna go right into some invisible speed and high-tech RC news. Remember, everybody, invisiblespeed.net is the place to go to learn how to become a better mechanic and driver. You can go to them. There's an online course, there's books. We have links in the written description of this podcast. Check it out. The actual discount for this does not apply. The 20% does not apply because JQ hasn't made a new ad yet. But thank you to Visible Speed for the continued support. Thank you to Invisible Speed for the continued support. Remember, you can go to invisiblespeed.net or follow the links in the written description of this podcast. Also, proud sponsor of the podcast and who's been a great help to us is High Tech RC or High Tech USA. And they have just released their RDX2 1000 charger. It has a sleek, modern design with easy to transport handle. It can handle AC. It's an AC/DC powerhouse that you can use to charge your high capacity battery packs at an amperage of 20 amps per channel. It also has an easy-to-use LCD interface. You can use XT connectors to connect it to the actual charger. It's actually a good piece of kit. I don't think it has the Bluetooth dongle, which is a shame because the other one does. And then the AD350, analyzing this charger, the high-power AD350 is ideal for analyzing your LiPo batteries. Its PC interface and higher capacity offer extended capability and convenience to help maintain your ultimate battery performance. The analyzer discharge is $149.99, and the RDX2 1000 dual charger, which I'm starting to see pop up around Facebook, is $279.99. You can go to hightech.com/where-to-buy to find out where to buy these chargers and other great high-tech products. All right, Max. So we're just going to go right into this. Do we want to geek out on this or go right into the other little smaller races? We'll just go right into Hagberg and save that for later because I am extremely happy for Hagberg. I did talk to him over the weekend.
I don't know. I think we just start with him because I don't know. He had a bit of a gap because last year Michael won both classes, and then before that was COVID. So I think last time Hagberg kind of had a big. Well, I mean, he's had big wins, but the European title was in.
What's this? His 9th European title?
8th, I believe.
I think he had. Okay. I probably should have asked him to confirm that, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure Efra said at least that it was 8. So.
Okay. Well, here we are, watching a little bit of this. So this is actually a video that RC Racing TV put up. 10 years of 12 scale. So yeah, Hagberg went in there. He was fast. I mean, it looked like it was a battle for TQ. There was a few people that won. This was also held in England at a semi-permanent track. It was, I believe, in a school hall. Orlowski won stock. That's his 5th European title. It's funny that they still raced. I guess this is small enough to have a stock class. These things are so fast. Look how fast they are.
No, the thing with 12 scale is that the mod class is like way too fast. Like it's ridiculously fast. You know, it's pretty much like before they had, you know, they used to run like open motor, open speedo. But then the issue was that like there was just like so much power that like even in the A main, like it was common for not like it was common like just like 7 cars finished the main or less, you know. Because they're like so hard to drive, so much power, so fast, little things that you just easily just like wreck it, you know. So like these days they drive with blinky and 6.5, even in modified. That's modified. So for stock it's 13.5 and blinky. So basically both are stock classes. One just has more power. But I don't know if I'm not quite sure if the stock class also has stock gearing, but yeah, effectively the stock exists because like that's the only class that most like not beginners but most hobbies can drive. Like the modified
but this
class,
class
like,
is very small compared to what it used to be, though, right?
Well,
because it
I
seems
guess
like
they're a
12
little
scale
bit
was
like-
very more popular back in the day. It
Oh,
seems to be
yeah.
getting more popular now. Obviously, this was the Euros. I think the Worlds are later on this year over in Florida, I believe, at Beachline. So,
yeah, I'm not sure.
yeah, it might be getting a little bit of a resurgence here. There was some top UK guys there. We had like Ollie Payne and Spashat was there. Reinhardt obviously was there at this race and everything. So there was competition. I guess Coelho doesn't run 12 scale much. I don't know.
No, he's almost never run 12 scale. Like I think he did run 12 scale at Snowbirds or something. But yeah, he like 12 scale was kind of a different class for a while. Sort of like drivers like Hagberg always run it, but like most touring car drivers only run touring cars and then like 10 scale off road. If they had another class, like not many run 112. But obviously, like back in the day, this used to be one of the top classes, you know. So,
and coverage was
I'm
done
really
late.
happy. I'm really happy to see it like become more popular. Like especially these Euros, they got good coverage. It was really well done. And yeah, it's really nice to see.
Oh yeah, Hagberg was happy, so I'm giving that little woo. This is actually pretty cool for a semi-permanent facility, dude.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's yeah, I did like the track and all that, and yeah, it's. I think this is like the best way to have a track, have it like semi-permanent. So you have a nice layout, you have it all figured out, but then you know it still is like bigger and more, you know, how would you say? More like proper, I guess.
Right, but it looks good. I mean, it looks like a decent event. Till you see the basketball hoops, and you're like, okay, it's in our school hall. But Hagberg comes off there, as you said, 8th European title. He's proven that hard work's paying off because this man does work hard. He's still beating his competition. He still is excited to win. You see him coming off there, like, you know. So it's good to see, and I congratulated him. Happy for him. I think that's good. I don't know what's up with my camera, dude. Give me a second. We're gonna time out right there. Time in. All right. So Hagberg wins 8th. This is his 8th European champion. Congratulations to him. I'm sure he's super happy about that. X-Ray is happy. Yeah. And then we have the 12 scale worlds coming up later on this year. So it's gonna be very interesting to see. And I'm sure that X-Ray has gonna want to win this, have another worlds on their belt, I would say. So it's gonna be interesting to see. And congratulations to Hagberg, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see Coyle attending too, but I mean, it will be hard to say if that will happen. Yeah,
we shall see.
But I think he would do good. You know, like I've still yet to see a class where he hasn't done really well. So
okay, all right. Next up. All right, next up, so we had the U.S. Buggy Championships up at trackside. Chase Lemieux won 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. He's supposed to be super fast up there, so not surprised about that. I saw young gun stock driver Kyle Go one up there as well, which I know he probably wanted because he made the switch over from Associated to TLR this year. So he would want the results that he was getting at Associated. And yeah, man, Chase Lemieux, Paul Lemieux's son. Generational speed right there. So very good to see.
It's interesting, like Paul Lemieux used to be like, I'd say the top on-road guy in America. But like, I don't know. In Europe, I haven't like seen of him much. I think he does some work still in RC, but mostly in America, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Somebody would let me know if I did. So let us know what Paul Lemieux's doing. Maybe we need to get him on this podcast.
Yeah, because when I started in RC, he was like one of the top guys in America for on-road. And he used to come race in Europe once in a while. And I remember Live RC did a song about him.
Really?
It's like, yeah, Live RC did songs about Ryan Mayfield.
I remember that one.
And then the other one was about Paul Lemieux. So I think it was Charlie Swanka who did the songs.
He was funny. He is funny.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. JBRL 10th scale round 2 held at SDRC. Well done, Matty G. This is why I saw it. So I didn't even realize this race was going on. Sorchi, I saw your message. I meant to look at it. Then I got pushed on. He was talking about the twins, the dyad, the Raymond twins. But I was talking to Matty G the other day. He's better after the splenectomy. But he isn't really traveling too much. That's why he's not going to the carpet nets. But wins 2-wheel drive modified, which he should, because I mean he lives at this track.
Yeah.
And Davey Bada, who also lives at this track as well, came in 4-wheel drive. So congratulations to those guys.
Wasn't the first round of 10 scale JBRL also at this track?
I could have sworn it was.
I'm starting to think. Yeah, I'm starting to think it's SDRCRL. You know, or like it's.
Why would it? They have Rain Man's, which I think is David Bada's. No, he has Coyote Hobbies. So they have Coyote Hobbies. They have Rain Man's. I guess somebody from JBRL will you'll know when we messed up.
Yeah, I bet they will have other races too. Because there is more tracks in California.
Yeah. That's what I said. They have Raymans, they have Coyote Hobbies, stuff like that. Arizona Spring Nationals is held at Adobe Mountain. I actually watched some video from this. The track looked good. Ryan Mayfield, this is in Arizona, so Ryan Mayfield has been spending a lot of time at this track as well as Tony Schumacher's track. He wins Open E-Buggy and Pro Nitro Buggy, and I think Kevin Lyon came second. And then he won Nitro Truggy. So building up on that confidence.
Yeah, granted, this is his home track, but he's definitely on a very good, run here. Considering, like he races against Mayfield here, and I'm not aware if I'd expect Dany to go, but not sure. I'd expect like there to be quite a lot like semi-fast guys at the very least. So I think this is a decent result for Camden again. Last weekend it was JBRL, and now here.
I would agree. All right. So as you guys know, I am actually headed off to this race here later on this year. I'm really looking forward to it. I just saw Miguel Matias is gonna be there, and I'm telling you, I was like, Max, I see Miguel Matias is running TLR. This is like the thing that's piqued my interest the most this week so far. So I look forward to meeting this guy, but I'm going to the International Buggy Challenge that's going to be held in Barcelos, Portugal. I'm looking forward to this. Time's coming on where I'll be going soon. Check it out. And then we're going to talk about some races that are coming up. Thank you to everybody at the International Buggy Challenge for getting me out there. I look forward to working with their stream, as well as doing some NNRC coverage, trying out some good Portuguese food and wine, and find some nice souvenirs to bring back home. So, as you guys know, like I said, I am out of here this weekend, this Thursday, headed up to Florida, to Mills Pond, the iconic Mills Pond in Fort Lauderdale, the Florida RC Championships. Round 4, Lance McDonald's race. Sold out in less than 30 minutes. I crashed RC sign up. I'm really looking forward to getting back to Florida. It's been a while. The last time I was in Florida, there was a different group of fast guys there. So now there's another group. And RC is booming again. I did get to go see 10 scale racing at the carpet race, but now I'm going to see some 8 scale racing at Mills Pond. And I think when you think of Florida, Mills Pond is one of those iconic tracks back from today, because it has been around for 30 plus years. You heard, I heard Greg Dany talking about racing at it and whatnot as well. So interesting. Glances says he guarantees me he see the great mythical unicorn Florida gator. He doesn't believe that I will see a gator wrestling with a super snake that is found in Florida as well, and then a complementing bull shark or tiger shark in the mix. But I think it can be possible if we get to an estuary and we see that. Max is like, what is Lefty talking about? So looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing all my Florida RC family. We're going to have some fun, have some frosty beverages, and enjoy some racing. Yeah, enjoy some racing. Electric off-road 10 scale carpet nets. I will be stopping up there on this Sunday. Dany and I are going up there to, do some content, watch the racing. Man, I can't bet against Fenn on this. What if Fenn wins this, dude? Fenn will be on such. You know what? We're going to talk about this, because we're going to talk about Fenn in a minute. But we'll just keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your brain, Max. It's actually at Beachline Raceway. This used to be the former Superior Hobby. So let me tell you, dude, this guy's got stacks of boxes all around this place, because it's a small hobby shop, right? I bet you he has a stash of so many parts and stuff from back in that people can't even get anymore. You just see like USA 1 or this written on a box or something. And these are parts probably from the 80s and 90s. So we'll be going up there. And then actually this weekend too is King of the Streets going on in Las Vegas. Shout out to my boy Tyler Zavadil. I know he's not feeling too well. He hurt his back. So he's going to take it easy this weekend and just take pictures. But 220 entries to this race. And I think it's like $20,000 on the line. So it'll be interesting to watch that. Later on this year, let's talk what happened.
Should we also talk about the carpet nets, like in more depth? What do you think? I think it's is it going to be high turnout, or
so they have I was talking to Clayton, they have more entries than last year.
Okay, well that's good.
So that happened. They bumped up entries. I just think this race is gonna still take a little while to get popular and get full, I would say.
Yeah, but I think aren't all the pros going? And I'd expect Mayfield to go because it's in Florida.
I would assume that all these pro guys are going.
So I think it's going to be a pretty big race. Kind of like the Florida Carpet Championship. I'd expect it to be. Yeah.
It's going to be stacked. I couldn't imagine that maybe Mayfield doesn't. Maybe Ty and Mayfield does, but I highly doubt it. So
I don't know. I'd expect Mayfield
up there
to
Sunday.
Go. Yeah. I'd expect Mayfield to go because it's in Florida. It's he'll go. If he doesn't, it's going to be a bit weird. But I don't know. What do you think? Who's going to win? You're gonna pick Fenn. Yeah,
I'm picking Fenn, and then stock. I'm gonna pick. Oh man, hey. In stock, very hard to pick. Maybe I'm going to go with that kid from NorCal. I forget his name. I met him at this race, Florida Carpet Champions. I interviewed him, but I completely forget his name. It was fast.
Do you mean, what's his name? Matthew Gonzalez?
No, he's not going. He's not going.
I
know people out there, but Lefty, his name is such and such, but it's from NorCal. He was actually doing his homework while he's at the Florida Carpet Championships.
Yeah. So I was just saying because he was running stock for quite a while. Luckily, he's now over those days.
Well, according to JQ, that's why he had to have a splenectomy. I
mean, hey, I'm not a doctor, but the dots connect, pinions and
Hey, stock is a legitimate class in America.
I know. I'm just trying to fight it. I'm practicing my like old guy against the new thing kind of thing because I've never raced stock. I've always thought it was silly. Like I understand that it's a thing, and but
you just triggered people.
Shouldn't
You just
be.
triggered people. That's you just triggered people.
I
think it's
did.
gonna be a good race. Period. I'm looking forward to it. I'm wondering what the layout's gonna be like. You see, that's what I kind of wish I was going to Florida and all, because you see, like for this as well, because you see everybody like, getting that hype before a big race. Oh, on my way to Florida, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, I'll be there Sunday because we got a race to do Saturday, and I'm looking forward to that. And that's like red clay, dust, dirt, iguanas, and everything else. So I can't wait.
Yeah. Alligators in the middle of the fucking track.
Maybe I'll see one finally in the wild while I'm dropping a piss in the lake at Mills Pond.
Fuck.
If you see me running with my zipper on, please don't arrest me.
Yeah.
I'm running from an alligator.
Who won carpet nuts last year? Was it just
I would
Fenn?
assume that Dakota Fenn won it.
Yeah,
Because he won everything last year.
I remember Champlin won 4-wheel drive on dirt, right?
Ooh, I forgot about Champlin. Ooh, this is actually going to be a very good race.
But I think Champlin, did he win carpet 4-wheel drive or carpet 2-wheel drive? He won one of each, I bet.
I don't know. Let's look. Should probably do this type of stuff before that. But yeah, it's actually going to be a very good race, come to think of it. So
So Fend won 2-wheel drive, Brock won 4-wheel drive at the carpet nuts. And then
who won stock? Brendan Schimmel?
stock buggy was Sammy Moran. Stock 4-wheel drive was Jeff Stat.
Ooh,
Statkiewicz.
That's Jeff Stacks. See, I even know all these.
What the fuck is that name?
Stakowicz.
Statkiewicz.
Yeah, it
that
sounds
was
like
pretty
Polish.
close. Oh, it's definitely some Eastern European name.
But that's Jeff Stacks. See, I know it. Look, all into the stock stuff.
Dang, hey, last year at the carpet nuts, Cavalieri beat Fend in 4-wheel drive. We didn't cover this race really well because I have no fucking idea about
I did it with
Maybe
Hefty.
you did. Oh yeah, that's why I don't remember. Okay,
I did it with
but
Hefty.
yeah, it was in 2-wheel drive. The podium was Fend, Champlin, Cavalieri, and then in 4-wheel drive was Champlin, Cavalieri, Fend.
Well, let's put it this way: does Cavalieri needs a good performance this weekend?
Yeah, but which car does he drive? Does he still on? Oh yeah, I completely forgot.
So he was on Losi last year. Now he's on Schumacher.
Yeah.
So he needs a good showing at this race.
He should do really well. Like,
yeah, but he didn't do well at the MKGP. He was in the B main.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm concerned for him. And I totally went off on him last week, like telling his career is over and all that. So he's definitely feeling the pressure now.
All right. Enough about that race. I'll be there Sunday, getting some video and looking at it. I was talking to Barkan this morning. I messaged him to see if they're ready for Silver State. I think they're excited. I don't think they went to the 2016 Worlds. So this might be their first trip to America. They kill it.
I think it is their first trip to America. They didn't go 2016, I believe. I think at least Berkan said that it's their first time in America.
It is. So he was telling me that they have the Euros e-buggy warm-up at Bischenhofheim, Frankfurt, Germany this weekend. So that's what they're going to be doing before they make the trip out to Silver State, which is coming up here very shortly, actually, which is coming up from the 4th. It starts on the 3rd to the 7th. So it's the Philippine Masters before that. I was talking to Robert. He's excited to go. Looking forward to the coverage coming from that. And Ongaro is going to that, so it's no slouch. Micho Widemar is going to that as well. So there are some fast guys going to the Philippine Masters.
Wasn't Robert going?
Robert's going. JQ's going. Yeah. I don't know if he's driving, though. Obviously, then, Silver State. Can Fenn win his first Silver State?
Yeah,
I think
that
now
was
he can.
my big question, because the thing is, like, this has been his struggle race. Like, you remember that one year where he qualified in the sea?
I remember that one year when he was super fast too.
Yeah, but that was like what was it? Wasn't that when Boots won?
I believe so.
Yeah, so that was like before COVID anyway. But like post COVID, I remember that one year when this was the race where they came out with the new car, the 8X.
Yep, I was there.
Something, and he, like, I have to say,
HP rear hubs on it.
Yeah, but I have to say it as bluntly as it actually was. But it absolutely, like, I don't know if it was car or him or anything, but it wasn't a good weekend. He fucking qualified in the sea. Like, it was an awful weekend for him. I have to be honest. But last year he was all right. He wasn't that bad. So
I think the wave of confidence that he's driving right now, I think it's gonna be hard to beat Fenn anywhere.
Yeah, that's my kind of thing, because 2021 he had the speed, just like his consistency was all over the place. Then 2022 he had the speed, but this kind of track wasn't it for him, and he did have the consistency already, but only on like when he was feeling comfortable, I'd say. But this year, like, he's like he could have just as well won DNC. Like, one crash either way on that track, and he would have been.
What about this? So I'm looking at last year. It was Mayfield, Tessman, Fuller, Fenn, Rivkin. What if we see Tessman, Fuller, or maybe Rivkin step up and beat these guys finally?
I don't see Rivkin doing it. I think he's focused on 10 scale now. Like,
okay,
he's putting a lot of time on 10 scale. It's 10 scale Worlds year, and also if you look,
we're going to talk about these guys in a bit, so let's not geek out too much. Let's just say who we're going to pick.
True. Yeah,
and then it could be. That's gonna be. I'll be watching that race. I can't wait. I'll be watching that. All right, we got a few more races coming up. Dirt Lone Star Challenge. I hope that all the pros go to that, but we'll see. J Concepts INS 13 at Adrenaline. The 10 scale pre-worlds. I wonder who's going to come over for that. You think? I wonder if the Europeans going to come over.
Yeah, it's hard to say because a lot of the guys went for Cactus Desert Classic.
Yeah, but they didn't know which tires they were going to use.
Yeah,
so it's kind of silly to go.
Yeah, I'd expect people to go, but hard to say really.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of racing coming up over. This is just the races that we know. There's so many other little races. I wouldn't even call them little races, the big entry races, but we just don't know about them. So it's so much racing coming up over the next few weeks. We can't even go through it all. We went through a good bit of it last week. But the immediate ones coming up are, like I said, Florida RC Championships, Carpet Nats this weekend, North Georgia Shootout the following weekend, King of the Streets this weekend as well. Euros e-buggy warm-up. I mean, not everybody's going to that, but there are some fast guys going. Philippine Masters, Silver State. IBC is going to be big because a lot of European guys are going there. And then then we have a little break to the Dirt Lone Star Challenge. Nationals, Visions. We got a lot coming up. Max, we're not going to do questions this week. We didn't ask for questions because we knew we was going to record it early. So what we're going to do is, I said we weren't going to geek out on these racers so much because we're going to look at the American Top 25 RC rankings. And we're going to add our twist to them and think if we agree with these rankings and who we think should be where or whatnot. This has absolutely nothing to do with facts. Oh, a little bit of facts. It's more about feelings and opinions.
No, I have to say here,
a little bit of facts.
My assessments about this are the absolute and the only possible truth about things.
Well, mine are filled with just pure heartfelt hope and dreams.
No,
complete opposite.
Yeah, no. We'll keep it fun and lighthearted. So,
all right,
I won't be too science moody.
No, we're just going to talk about it real quick, and we'll see if you guys agree with us. And that is brought to you by Clinic RC And Beach RC, thank you for all the support. You can get the Race Tech engines at Clinic RC. Clinic RC is also selling Beach RC stuff as well as Beach RC selling Clinic stuff. Congratulations to Mark Santamaria on his 100K. He got to celebrate it with Brent on Wheel and Trigger. Wheel and Trigger was good. I enjoyed that live show. I think it was last Thursday. I watched the whole thing. Check it out. Wheel and Trigger, Beach RC, Clinic RC, all that good stuff. All friends of ours. We're happy to have them on board. Nope, that's not the commercial.
I was thinking that was a new one.
Yeah, Clinic RC. Thank you so much. To Tony and Vicky for the continued support. Also, shout out to Lucas and everybody, Brent and everybody at Beach RC. My boy Cinnamon Neck, how you doing? Thank you for all the support. Keep up the good work, and I will see a bunch of you guys here next weekend. Not this weekend, but the following weekend at the North Georgia Shootout.
BeachRC.com, the racers' one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, JQ Racing, Pro Circuit Racing Tires, Nitro Lux Fuels, and Assault RC Performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
That's right, everybody. You can check out Beach RC. We have an affiliate link in the written description of this podcast. That helps us out a little bit. Check them out. All right, Max. So this week, we are looking at the top 25 American USA rankings according to the Facebook page. I'm already in disagreement with number one, so we can start off right there. Mayfield, to me, right now, is not the number one 8-scale driver in the USA. Sorry, Techno. Sorry, all Ryan Mayfield fans. Fend is definitely number one.
100% agree. In America, I think it's quite clear. Let me get the rankings up so people can see.
If we started off from this year only, then Fend would be number one. Like if this was a proper series.
Oh yeah.
Proper series, he would be number one. He won SIC. He won PMB. Yeah. He came second at freaking at DNC, and came second because he messed up. That's about it.
Yeah.
All right, but it's not too far. Like when I say discrepancies like these, I believe that Mayfield and Fend are the two. Oh, we want to share this, right? The two best 8-scale drivers in the USA, and probably two of the best in the world at this current moment. So these are the American top 25 Nitro Buggy rankings. You can go check them out on their Facebook page. I do believe this goes back 2 years. So every time they go to this race, so whatever the results were for them 2 years ago at PMB is now non and void. But yeah, it looks like what? Ryan Mayfield has 399 and Fend has 326. Yeah, I don't agree with that. If this was started from SIC, Fend would be in the lead.
Yeah, but I think this covers a much longer timeline. But to me, what is interesting is if we look at I took rankings from the top 25 RC site. So the top 25 RC site shows the top 50 ranked top drivers in the world.
Do you have that to pull it up?
So I don't have the Americans only, but I can pull up the top 25 RC.
Oh, we're going over the American drivers right now, though.
Yeah. But, let me see. Well, I'll pull up the whole thing, but okay. I'll guide us through it because it's a little bit.
I also don't have Tessman as the number 3 driver or Tebow as number 4. I actually have Mason Fuller as number 3. And man, I'm going to tell you. It's very tight between Rivkin and Rose for that number 5th spot for me.
So, actually, yeah. So here's the. There's so many tabs I have open.
Yes, and your mouse is ever so much louder.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So, okay. Here's the top 25 whole ranking. And it ranks all the drivers from 1 to 50. And this is for the whole world. Okay. So I got the drivers from here. And I have them on my list here. So I'll read out the list and compare it to the top 25 American ranking. So, okay. So we have the top 25 American ranking. Wait, can I pull this up while I also look at stuff?
I got it. What do you want to bring up? The top 25 American rankings?
Yeah. Let me see. Can I do that? Does it work? I guess it works. Okay. So we have the top 25 American ranking. We have Ryan Mayfield at the top, okay? And my rankings, or not my rankings, the top 25 RC rankings show Ryan Mayfield at the top. So it's the same. Fenn second. Only difference between the top 25 and the American top 25 is that Tessman has a lot worse rankings in the American top 25 rankings. And I don't know really why that is. I'm guessing it has something to do with the Worlds, because Tessman had a decent result at the Worlds, but I don't know.
Even 4th, right?
Yeah. So
right.
I expect that to make a difference. But effectively, the top.
Maybe it doesn't encompass the Worlds. Maybe it doesn't include the Worlds.
It does. It gives them even more points, but it like the top 2 guys are the same. Tebow is ranked number 3 in the top 25, American top 25. But out of the top 25 RC list, he would be 4th behind Tessman. Then it would be Bornhorst, Mason Fuller, Ogden, Rivkin, Rose, and Cavalieri. That would be your top 10. Whereas in the American top 25, Bornhorst is 6th, Rivkin is 5th, Fuller is 4th. So effectively, those guys are a bit higher than they would be on the other list. And then Tessman would be significantly lower. And then Rose and
all right.
Rose and Seth Van Dalen are different. So it's like the top of the list is effectively very similar, no matter how you measure it, which data set you use. So
okay. Well, our point was to go through this. It's first quarter of the year now. We've had 3 major races under our belt. We've had SIC, DNC, and PMB. DNC was a kind of a throwaway for a lot of it's weird because DNC was good for some people and very bad for others. Mason Fuller being one of them, it was a bad PMB for him. DNC. But right now, in my opinion, if I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, I definitely would have Fenn, Mayfield. I wouldn't have Tessman there. I'll have Fuller. I probably have Rivkin after Fuller, to be honest. Ogden would be next. And then I'd have Tebow probably after that. Because Tebow's results have been up and down. He got a 5th at DNC.
But so is Ogden, though.
Yeah, but Cole didn't go to PMB. But he finished 4th at DNC.
Yeah, but
if we're going off just this year so far, we're just going off this year. So let's give. Yeah, man.
I wouldn't put Tebow at like in the top 5.
I put him just out of the top 5.
Yeah. I put.
And I have Cavalieri higher than Yes.
He's 15th on the top 25 American ranking.
Right, but he finished 8th at DNC, did not go to PNB. All right, Rose also, I think his DNC hurt him. But if you throw away DNC, I think he's higher up on his list as well. A third at PNB.
It's kind of like what if we base it on sort of all races equally, then it's different. If we like put more effort into DNC, or I don't know, I'd say Fend and Mayfield at the top 2 is quite obvious. There's
what we'll do?
Debating.
What we'll do? We're gonna go through each one of these guys I have her. There's 26 guys. You're gonna rank them out of 10. We're gonna do that. First, Mayfield.
Well, currently like an 8.
Okay. I would give him an 8, 8.5.
Yeah.
Soon to be 9.5. Fenn, 9.5. Gotta save that 0.5%.
Yeah.
For the other. Tasman. I would say Tasman's cruising around 8 to 8.5.
I'd say he is just below Mayfield, like the next guy below Mayfield.
A coach, that much. And not even enough, like if everything goes right, he can do well. Tebow, I would say Tebow is 7 to 7.5 right now.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah. He's
Born Horse, I have at 8.5 right now.
This year though? Not really.
Because he got sick and he's also been putting on a lot of work. So I'll give him an 8.
Where did he finish at PNB?
Oh, no, you done it. I'm not going into that. But I'm giving him. This is just about feelings. I'm giving him it.
Okay,
Mason Fuller, 9.
Yeah. Okay, dude, you're just going off the rails right now.
Really, you don't give Mason Fuller a 9?
No, I give him an upward curve of an 8.
Okay, how about 8 3/4?
3/4. That's 8.75.
Yes.
So, dude, that's almost a 9. No. Okay. Okay. Born Horse is definitely not done better than Tebow this year. Like, okay, yeah, he got sick.
In results. Did he beat him at PNB? I don't know. Ogden. I don't know, I'm gonna go first. Ogden is 7.5. It's where Ogden's always at, 7.5, I would say. Because he can be at 6.5. He can be at 6.5 on the race day, or he can be 8.5, almost a 9 on a race day and be ready to win. So we just keep him in the middle at 7.5. That's how I feel about him. Because he had a good 4th at DNC. And he had a good result at that TNR race.
Yeah. It's hard to rank Ogden and Bornhouse, really, because they both missed a big race,
Yes.
And we really haven't had all but 2 big races so far.
This is gonna surprise you. Rivkin, I have him at a very low and calm 8.65.
How? What has he done this year?
He won TNR. Listen.
Okay, but that's kind of like winning. Well, okay. I have to say there was quite a few big names there. So
everybody there was a shit ton of big names there.
But where did he finish at PNB or at DNC?
We should have all of that. But he was in the A main.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. Like, I kind of want to give all of these guys like a 7.
Really?
That's it's like I'd say Mayfield gets an automatic like 8.5 due to his win at DNC. Even though he had a lackluster PNB, he had a decent SIC though. TNR for him went all right. Yeah, Fend is definitely
Rivka finished 9th at
9.5. Yeah, that's kind of like bottom of the main. Okay, I put, yeah. Well, almost everyone at Pro did better than Ronafog. Okay.
All right. So next up is Brandon Rose. I think Brandon Rose right now is at a 7.5, and he's climbing.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, exactly.
Now here's why I think he's doing that. I think he was good at Nemo Agama. And I think what's happening now is with S-Works, because it's such a much bigger team, he has that pool of people to pull on. And I think that's what's helping him out with his mechanics and stuff too, because he also has more, I think that was one of his big things, like DNFing and not what like that. So I think having these Bornhorst and these guys around to help him out and up his mechanicking game and his setup game is helping him a lot. So I think we're going to see a lot of improvement with Rose, and he's climbing. Cavallari, dude. Oh, what do you think about Rose? Do you agree or no?
I mean, to be honest, Rose is a bit of a hard one to rank because, like, I want to give him like an 8.5 because of his performance at PMB. And like the thing is, he's always had speed, but like
he hasn't been able to finish races.
Yeah, like we kind of have to see, like, because like obviously SIC and DNC, that's his first big races with his new platform.
Mm-hmm.
So I do agree with like did you say 7.5 or 7.75? I'd say 7.5. I think that's
How about Cavallari?
Yeah, Mayfield is still up there. Cavallari, dude, like I really have to say, like, okay, I'll forget about the JBRL, but the only good thing he's done all year has been making the main at DNC. Like that's the only
I'll
good
forget
result
about JBRL.
But because, like, come on, he's losing to kids.
So they're fast.
No, but like he's losing to guys who go to school, play baseball, and hang out with their friends, and he's like a full-time pro.
Really fast.
Well, they are fast, but like, come on, like it's not that he doesn't have any excuse. He goes and practices on these tracks too, so it's like I don't know. I'm just amazed, how far he's fallen because. I don't know. I mean, granted, I'm not taking anything away from the young drivers. They're definitely fast, but like I don't know. I just feel
you have Cavallari dead and buried. You and JQ have him dead and buried.
Well, to be honest, like if you look at strictly look at results, like of a level of a driver he should be, like those aren't results I'm looking for. I'd rather hire Lutz than Cavallari at this point, just based on like performance, not even based on anything else, purely performance. I'd hire Lutz in front of Cavallari.
Okay. Wow. Cavallari is not gonna like you. Speaking of Cavallari and Lutz,
I think like if he does well at the carpet nuts, I'm gonna be like, okay, he's still on.
He definitely doesn't do better than 10 scale.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, like, right now, if you look at purely his results, they haven't been good,
Okay.
But, yeah. I think,
Lutz?
like,
Lutz. You have Lutz.
Lutz is a hard one because he's kind of, like, always there, but never at the top, That's kind of my feelings about him.
I kind of have Fuller, Hackert, Drake, Sontag. Wiggins, I have a little higher up on this. And I'm going to put seven.
Yeah,
I'm going to put
Wiggins,
Van Dalen higher up on this too. If I came down to, I'll tell you who I put higher up on this list. I will put Wiggins, Van Dalen, Lee Setzer, and
Wiggins and both of those guys. Like all of those guys are higher in the American top 25 list.
I would. Oh, hold on. What? But this is the US. Oh, okay.
That's the list you're reading in our notes is about from the top 25 RC rankings, but only the US drivers. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
And then they're separately. Yeah. I did this because I wanted to also compare the ranking systems and prove.
I still have I have Wiggins higher than 11th. Maybe
really?
not. Maybe
no.
not.
I think 11 is quite good.
I think Pavitas 14th for so I've been reading the wrong bloody list all this time. Thanks, Max. Okay, Seth Van Dalen. I would have Seth Van Dalen 10th. Spencer Hackett 13th is cool. Ryan Pavitas Caden Fuller 16th. Tyler Jones, I would say it's 17th. He was on the cost. Drake, Brunson, Sontag, Dany, all the same. Lee Setzer, I like to see higher because he's been making A-mains. Cole, Tallard, yeah, kind of. I would say from in 12 Don is pretty accurate. I would say. And all them guys are about the same level of speed. But any one of those, all of these guys who I think can have a breakout race, it's guys like, I think we can see maybe Aiden Horn having a breakout race. I think we can see a Tanner Dany having a breakout race. I definitely think we can see a Tyler Jones or Caden Fuller. And eventually, Little Bump's turn is going to come for Nitro. I would say in America. Go ahead,
Little
sorry.
Bumpus. Yeah, he's ranked. It's funny. He's ranked 25th and 24th on both lists.
I know it's so close, isn't it? So close.
Yeah.
Who would you say out of this year in America has impressed you and why?
Caden Fuller, 100%. He's been one of the biggest ones because he's like last year. It was quite clear that Mason was the number one driver, but this year it's like especially in the e-buggy and e-truggy classes, like Caden can straight up like beat Mason, at least for a while. So yeah, Caden has definitely been the biggest surprise. I'd say Rose would be the second one because of his performance at PMB. That was kind of like what we were not expecting, but kind of like forecasting, that kind of race will happen for him because he has the speed, Even at RCGP, he had those rounds where he was really high up and then mechanical or something happened. So Rose, to an extent, surprised, just like, okay, now he's at his level where he could actually be consistently in the future.
I would think one of the people that have dropped a lot in this list for me would be Aiden Horn. Because at one point, at 2021, we had Aiden doing really well. And then he just had a very miserable 2022 when it came to 8 scale. No, 10 scale, he had a good one. But 8 scale has been his issue. And he hasn't been able to replicate his good performances that he had in 2021. So I would say I'm surprised at that. I would agree with you on Caden Fuller as well. Very impressive. Lee Setzer has been one of the more impressive racers this year. And just him making mains at DNC, he also made the main at PB. Yes, okay, he didn't. He was kind of like a non-factor, but he's making these mains, which is good to see. Brandon Rose, not surprised. I knew he would do it. Seth and Dalen looked good at PMB. He looked excited. I would say I'm more surprised that Mason Fuller hasn't won a race yet.
Yeah, I have to be honest here. I think he's kind of hit a point where last year he was finishing 3rd, 4th, 2nd. He was up there. But then he kind of, I think he kind of hit a little bit of a plateau again. Like this year happens. It's completely not like that's how it always goes. Like when you have a big leap of, performance, then you always plateau for a bit. I think now it's just about him getting into a comfortable groove, getting into like a confidence. It's about confidence too, because I think for Rose is a great example of, I don't even think like the S-Works car is much like better or like different.
Better than Nemo, but you think the support around it is better, right?
Exactly.
Especially in America.
Yeah, and it's not about like, I don't think it's about like, hey, do this setup wise, like that kind of support. It's just about having people around you that builds his confidence. He feels like he's part of a team, so he can execute himself better. I think like that's just my guess, and I think that is one of the reasons why he's been doing quite well now. I mean, that's
I would agree with you there. I would agree with you there. I would say Little Bump is steadily improving.
Yeah,
people don't have to understand he doesn't have to win a Worlds at 15.
Oh yeah, no, and yeah, he's definitely. It's hard to say that he's surprised because this kind of been his like he's steadily just climbing up, and like soon he'll be making aimings consistently, and before we know, he's probably going to podium big race, and then he's right up there.
Yep, I would agree with you. So I have to say this. So, Dakota fan, we say this in every year, every race, every podcast now. But I have to reiterate, I just think it's going to be very hard to beat Dakota fan right now with his package, his confidence. I think he thinks he can go to any race. He can do well. If he doesn't, it's fine. He moves on to the next one. Going into Carpet Nets is my favorite. Going into Silver State, man, I don't know. It's going to be hard not to pick him. But we see some Europeans going over there, so we'll see about that as well. But right now, for me, Dakota fans still, no surprise, the best all-around racer in RC and off-road racing, in my opinion. Mayfield definitely in second. I think he's doing what you see. Mayfield's out there doing 8-scale racing, so he wants to get better. Probably testing new parts for the Techno, I would say. I'm pretty sure he's got some parts made. But I think once Mayfield gets that car figured out how he wants, he's going to be hard to beat. But I still think Fend is always going to have youth, and that's what's going to beat him and be his asset when it comes to Mayfield. You know, and he's going to have that for a few more years. He's going to have it for another 3, 4, 5 years. So this gets in his 30s, right? He's 26, so let's say another 6 years of this. But at the same time, you're going to have, that's when the kids like Little Bomb and all these other guys are coming up. And you know who else who isn't on this list, but has been steadily improving? We've talked about it. Definitely Camden Line. Definitely him.
Yeah.
Not on this list because he just doesn't have the results at these bigger races as well. And it will come. The thing is, not all of these guys are going to be successful. You know, some of them have to. Not all of them can do well. Some of them will lose. But definitely impressive. And Taylor, you know who else has been impressive? Taylor Sontag.
He's definitely impressed me. He's definitely been like seeing him in the top 5 at PNB. I'm like, oh shit! Like, where did that come from? But I think he's also one of those guys who's kind of been steadily climbing, and then now it shows.
Maybe we should ask the listeners, what do you guys think? Do you agree with I know a lot of people, let's look at it from this year and let's look at these 3 races. Would you guys agree with us on our thoughts about Fend being a top driver? Who was most impressive to you so far this year, or who's been disappointment? Yeah. Who's your biggest disappointment of the first quarter, Max? Besides Cavallari.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't that already
I don't
obvious?
think is a disappointment in 8-scale.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have to say, I mean, to be honest, there really isn't big disappointments here. Apart from Cavallari, definitely has been okay. Like if we compare to the time he was at TLR, his 8K performance is quite on par with that. But just now that it's like, I don't know. I'm just kind of like weirded out about how
for you. That's what you're doing.
Not really. Like, if anyone can argue against me, like I don't think it's gonna be that strong of an argument. You know, like Cavallari finished it like at the bottom of the main in DNC, and after that he's been barely podium at JBRL. Like,
you just won't let that JBRL go, will you? It's just like
no. Yeah, but okay. To be honest, like, he's the only one. Maybe that's why it looks so bad, you know, because like everyone else has been kind of on an upward curve, or at least staying at the same level, and he seems to be still like going down from his like heyday level.
I will tell you who's dropped a lot. Tanner Dany has dropped.
Yeah, but I think he's in a different situation then.
Yeah, he's like real work.
Yeah, that's the difference, because Cavallari is like full-time RC. Like Dany, like if he finished in the C main at one race, I'd be like, whatever, you know, he comes there and races. But Cavallari is different because this is the job he does every day.
I would say honestly, my biggest disappointment of the year so far is that Mason Fuller has not won a race yet. A Nitro Buggy race. Won a Truggy race, run E-Truggy, and I'm happy for him, but my biggest disappointment is he has not won one yet, because I've been talking about it for 2 years and I'm still waiting. but I'm sure it's going to happen. I'm not worried.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really seeing that as a disappointment. Like obviously, I would
want it to happen.
Yeah, I want it to happen too, but I don't see it as a. I don't think it's expected of him at this point. Like it will come, it will come. Okay, whatever. But
I think people expect it. Like I expect it, they expect.
Yeah,
it.
but it's not like if he doesn't win a race this year, it's not like he had a bad year.
No, of course not. But
that's what I'm.
Great if he did win.
Oh, 100%. I'd like to see that happen, and I think what I would like to see happen is like Fend having a rival, someone else than Mayfield. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because it's clear that Fend is gonna be the man to beat this year. Mayfield, new chassis, definitely wasn't himself at PMB. So like Fendis definitely has the upper hand of the Americans at the moment. So it would be really nice to see like Fuller, like maybe even at Silver State, because Fuller did well at Silver State last year. Like maybe even there, like Fuller taking the TQ, leading the main for a while. That I could see as one.
Yeah, I don't think Fuller's really got out to a lead yet. And
that's exactly what I'm like would like to see. I don't remember because there has been situations where Mayfield and Fenn has led the main and you remember it. Maybe even Rivkin led the main in the past 2 years, but like for Fuller, it maybe he's been in the lead, but not like led half of the main type of lead.
I would agree with that. So let's get winning, Iceman. All right, let us know what you guys think in the comments on YouTube. Let us know, who do you have at number one? Do you have Fend as number one, or is it Mayfield at number one? Who has been your biggest disappointment? Do you disagree with some of the rankings there? Let us know. We want to hear from you guys out there listening to the NNRC from around the world. I think when we get back, we'll do a European one. Oh, we'll do a European one after IBC. There we go. Yeah, they haven't had as much races. All right, Max. I think that's it for that. We're going to go on to our Techno Main interview with Ben Panic and Zac Ryan. They talk about the Asian Buggy Challenge that they have coming up. Great series that they started with Scotty. They're going to have full coverage to first races, the Philippine Masters, which is when you're listening to this, the following weekend. Thank you to Ben and Zac for their time. Thank you to Beach RC, Race Tech Engines for their sponsorship that brought you that segment. We will take a look. I think we're going to rank. We need to rank teams. I would like to rank teams later. So far this year, I would like to rank. We got to do the European drivers, and then I actually would like to rank. I don't know, maybe regions and see who's better in America. But I probably have to do that with an American person that knows them a little better. But with that said, we're going to go on and have an Australian Asian catch up, because this is all about Australia RC and Asian RC with Zac and Ben. Thank you to Techno RC for their support.
Techno RC. Techno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.technorc.com for a complete catalog of their products. Techno RC. Excellence in engineering. #Techno Takeover.
Welcome to Zac Ryan and Ben Panic. These are two of my friends from Australia, avid RC fans. Ben's actually been on the podcast as a guest. So is Zac. Zac has also been a co-host. You guys have been racing. Just so people don't know, people who have been watching the pod will know who Zac is. Because I've mentioned him a lot. But you guys have been around racing for many, many years. You've traveled around the world, I think Ben used to tell me you've been to 4 different worlds. You've been to Neos. You guys have been around RC for a long time. So I just want people to know that they're from Australia. We want to talk about things that are going on in Asia. We just had FEMCA recently with no Australians. We heard some news about Australia's top driver that we have not yet confirmed. And you guys have something that's going on that's pretty cool as well. So I just thought we'd start off with maybe introducing you guys real quick. Let people know what you guys, like how long you've been into RC and what you've been up to for the last couple of years, because you guys kind of took a break as well. So I think we'll go in order. We'll start with Ben and then go to Zac because he's in the middle. So go ahead, Ben.
Thanks, Lefty. Yeah, good to be with you today. Thank you for having me on. Be a pleasure to talk to you and the listeners. So I've been involved in RC for just a little while, 84, 85. The Hornet was one of my first cars. And, they say that the RC gets in your blood. It never gets out. For me, I raced all the way up till like 93, 94 competitively here in Australia. And then I took a little break when I went to university and started to chase girls for a while. And when I was traveling with work through Hong Kong back in 04, 05, I ran across some cars. And I'd also, I'd always picked up RC car action, and I'd seen the progression of the batteries. And batteries, back in the day for off-road was always the biggest challenge. And I think at that point in 04, 05, they were like 3,300 milliamp hours. And I saw, right, that for me is going to change the game because it's not a battery game anymore. And I got back into it and have been racing competitively ever since. So for me, it's all about nitro buggy. When I moved up to Asia, I lived in Singapore for 11 years, moved back here in Australia through COVID, and I raced nitro buggy. And, I love that. That's what gets me out of bed. And that's my passion in RC is nitro buggy.
Yeah. Also, you've been traveling quite a lot lately too. You must have a lot of airline miles. And I guess I don't know how you fit RC in with all that travel.
Yeah, it fits in pretty well. I mean, I travel a lot for work, right? My job, covers the whole of the Asia Pacific region. And then I do a fair bit of global travel as well. It's great though, because what I usually do is try and tack on races with different work events that I've got going on. So I just try and line it up from that perspective. And look, I mean, I've got a family and kids. I can't club race every single weekend anyway, right? So, a little bit like what we see with, Tebow, where he's balancing that whole working and racing. And, I think we'll get to talk to that. But, my interpretation of what I saw from Jared's announcement was, not that he's retiring, just that he's refocusing in terms of where he's going to spend his time in RC. And it'd be good to get to talk a little bit about that as we get into the podcast.
Yeah, sure. I call it his transition. His transition into that second part of RC. Zac, also fellow. Oh, you know what I forgot to tell you guys? I finally met Phil for the first time at the Worlds. Finally met him. I was like, oh, fanboy. She actually called me Lefty. I was like, oh, you call me Lefty. He was actually staying in our hotel. Very nice gentleman. Very nice gentleman. I was going to say, we all know one person now, and that's besides Runafalk, we know Phil now. But Zac, you come on. Used to be a co-host. You could always come on and be a co-host when you want again. That's not a problem.
No problem. Yeah.
You wrote for a magazine, an RC magazine, an Australian magazine at one point. I want people to kind of understand as well that the RC scene in Australia has always been probably one of the. I wouldn't say probably. I don't know if it's probably the biggest, but definitely it's been a strong point in the Asian community as well for a long time since the 80s. As I'm getting to learn, I mean, you think back in the day, Ray Wood was the guy who used to bring us all our DVDs and all the stuff. It was Australian. I'm actually going to get him on this and talk about it. So Australia has been involved in RC in a way, especially on the Asian side for a long time. It's just maybe that a lot of people maybe on this side of the world may not know about that. So when you told me you had written a magazine, like an Australian RC magazine, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, that you guys had a magazine in your RC community. So tell people a little bit about yourself that may not know you.
I started about 20 years ago, pretty much when gas truck was in its prime, really. Started with an RC10 GT sort of for the most part, and then progressed into 8-scale off-road. But that was starting in the gas scene. It was still pretty much the premium racing in Australia, and that's where I met the owner of the magazine Racing Lines, and started writing for him, and he picked up me with some sponsorship and some great opportunities really to go around that Asia region, going through Malaysia and Thailand, Singapore, New Zealand. We even went over to South Africa for a bit. We went there twice for a race. So it was really an eye-opening for me because I only sort of started racing overseas when I was sort of 18, 19 and get some exposure to to some of the Asian racing styles, which is very different, I guess, to what you would probably see in America. It was the event style was so different to those events. It was more of a party, and they even called some of their races a buggy, like a buggy party. Thailand's famous race was a buggy party, and it was literally all about just having a party. So the seriousness of the event, while it was sort of there for the mains, leading up to that, it was more of a party. They'd have beers at the bottom of the driver's stand when you walk down, and they'd have a DJ at the track, and it was just such an interesting perspective on RC racing. And I got hooked ever since starting young and going over there and having a good time. And I think really first time I met Ben actually was at the Thailand Worlds because Ben's a different state to me, so quite a long way away. But yeah, I met him over there, and we've been racing throughout Asia and across Australia for probably 15 years, pretty much running the same car over that time period.
So you met him at the 2010 Worlds? Okay,
that's right.
So you didn't know him in Australia before that?
No, because like Ben was saying, like he was in the EP scene, and I was in the Nitro scene, and then Ben picked up Nitro. I'm assuming it was a little bit before the Nitro Worlds in Thailand. Ben, is that right?
Yeah, so I kind of I had friends like Ari Barkler say to me for years, from like 06 and 07, you got to come race Nitro, you'll love it. And all I ever heard at that time was just how difficult it was, flame outs and people having gear issues. I just thought, this sounds like a headache. By the time I got to 2009, I realized that I was going to move to Singapore for work. And, a little bit of investigation leads you to find that there is really no EP scene in Asia, outside of Japan. So I got involved in Nitro. As Zac says, the first time I met him was in Thailand. He was in one of the containers there, lying on the ground, sleeping off a bit of a hangover, trying to recover before his qualifier. Him and Payne had been out the night before. And I was only there just helping some friends in the pits. I just moved to Singapore in July of 2010. So, I took a nice hour and a half flight from Singapore to Thailand. And, that became a fairly frequent route for me on holidays to go race RC, at biddy design events, at buggy parties. And, as Zac said, they did a really good balance between going and having fun, but having a serious race as well. It was always a great time.
Are they getting back to doing some races now? I mean, I know they had FEMCA. I know you guys want to talk about that, but do we see, and I know you guys have a race coming up too. We're going to talk about that, but I know the guy in Vietnam tried to have a race as well, like the Vietnam, I can't remember what it was called. Then they had the race at the Sampadao place that also was pretty popular. Do you think we'll see these type of races come back? I know you guys are planning that as well. We might as well segue right into that in it because we're talking about it. But you guys are planning to do something similar as well, right? Bring that type of vibe back in a series or something which is an Asian series.
Yeah, and that's really being assisted with Scotty Ernst. So I would say really everyone has seen the Manilla track, and Edward Seo's probably built the best facility that we've seen since the Thailand Worlds. He's got an incredible 3D track that has taken probably weeks and weeks to build and put together with a lot of people, and he's put it in an excellent position as well. It's close to a major airport. It's easy to fly to. It's got great accommodation facilities. It's really suited for an international event. So that's been running for a couple of years, and he's sort of expanded his facilities now. And Scotty Ernst has been a part of running that. He's always on the mic there for that race meeting. And I met Scotty there, I don't know, probably 6-8 years ago, when I first started going to the Manilla Masters. And Scotty's always talked about wanting to do.
It's been around that long?
The Manilla Masters, it's been around a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had been around so long. I guess I remember when the first, I think pros went. I think Drake went a few times, and that's when I kind of started to notice. I remember when Joseph went the first time, and then Robert went and all that stuff. Is the track near Is it? So I'm a little confused. So they had to move the track from where it was originally, right? So it's still in that same area, or it's moved completely from that area?
Yeah, it's still really close to the old track. So they had to move the location, but it's not very far. It's a great spot, as Zac said, sort of 30 minutes from the airport, really good accommodation, that's cost effective, that's nearby. So they've got a pretty sweet setup.
Yeah, their race is coming up this next month, April, near the end of April, right? It's the week before Silver State.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because Augie was telling me about it. I was like, come on, man, you got to get some coverage there. That's what I think it needs too, because I think when RCGP did the coverage there for the first round, it got to show how nice that track was right there. I always thought that track had some of the best action from RCGP. Like, we don't see tracks like that too much, It was so many jumps. It was like jump after jump, and it was like that smooth. Well, it looks smooth, that molasses surface and all that stuff.
Visually, it looks so good. If someone has never seen RC before and they see a nice clean track with grass infield and lots of banners around the track, that looks appealing. You know what I mean? So that's why I think, we definitely need to get it on live RC, get it out and broadcast because it's just so good for people to see.
That's the first thing I said to Augie, get some coverage. Because I think this could be one of those races that everybody comes to eventually. It's getting, I think Robert's going. I think Davide is going.
Yeah.
Well, Jay Hughes going, but that doesn't count. I don't think any Americans are going, though. Unfortunately,
no, Michelle Widmeyer, I think, is going.
Oh, Widmeyer's going. That's good.
Yeah. There's lots of folks from the whole region that are going. I mean, you go back to that, that event they put on for RCGP, not only did the track look great, but it was amazing to drive. Like, it was such a good layout. Plenty of jumps, but good flow, and it worked really well. And I think that's what people come back for, right? They come back for a great venue and a good track, and that makes a difference at the end of the day. And, Edwards always put on really good layouts and, puts on a fun event as well. So I'm looking forward to it. 4 weeks from now, we'll be there.
I know it's a lot of New Zealanders and Australians going. I think it actually looks like way more than the main Asian group of people that come. Because I think I was looking, it's like, wow, it's a lot of New Zealand guys. It's, I guess, wow, I just didn't realize how popular it was for you guys. I know that a lot of the New Zealand guys went and you guys went, but it's a lot of you guys going.
Yeah, I think lots of people had gone to the RCGP race and the previous Manilla Masters. So, there's been plenty of people that have gone back to their home countries and, talked about the great experience that they've had. And they've really enjoyed, the track, the facilities. It was one of the challenges, when we went to Vietnam. So Zac and I were talking last night. Vietnam was the last international race that we did at the beginning of 2020 before COVID. And they put on a good event, but it was a really challenging track. It was like a 2-hour drive to get to each day from the hotel. So, some of that takes away from the event when it is just, that much effort to get to and from the track every day.
It was 2-hour drive from the hotel. Yeah, that's not good. I was talking to Scotty. He loves the Philippines. He loves it there. He's like, he really does. I hope to get there next year. This is one of those races I would like to go to. I've always wanted to visit the Philippines as well. So hopefully that happens. And hopefully they get some, I really think it's now like these races that are like this, like coverage is mandatory. Like if you want it to be a recognized race and get more people there, I think that coverage is going to be there. And I think these guys will do it because this is their first time doing it since COVID, right? As well.
Yeah,
I believe. So yeah, good stuff. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Everybody's wondering how Joseph's going to make out there going back to CL. I'm like, he'll be all right. He'll be all right. But then again, we're talking about Joseph, so who knows?
Yeah, he's got to get through customs first.
I don't know, man. When I'm not with JQ, he gets in trouble. So I don't know. We saw that at DNC. All right, so let's segue into FEMCA. So we recently had a FEMCA race. I liked you guys' questions. I'm not gonna lie. I did not know there was a FEMCA race going on until there was actually a FEMCA race there. And I will say this, it's been a while since I've seen Asia RC active. That was good to see too, which is like I like to say it's like the Neo Buggy of Asia or Red RC of Asia. So they had some good,
do a really good job, right? The Asia RC guys do a great job. They've always got good photos and good coverage. And like you though, I almost didn't know there was FEMCA until the race started.
No Australians there. What's going? So what happened? 6 weeks out, you guys learned about this race. Why such short notice?
Don't know. Good question.
That's the question, really. That's when it was announced. It was announced 6 weeks before the event that it was going to be on, and at that point, obviously, everyone from Australia, probably New Zealand, went on and started to look at flight prices, and we're in the vicinity of $2,500 to fly to the event.
To Asia?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right, yeah.
You could probably fly to America for cheaper, right?
Yeah, we could definitely fly to America cheaper. Maybe if we obviously have more lead time, and that's why it's so important, that you need to
That's
to have
amazing. I didn't realize it's so expensive.
Yeah, flight prices out of Australia at the moment are really expensive. Because I'm flying every week for work, basically, and they're expensive. It's certainly prohibitive, especially when you're looking at 6 weeks out. I jumped online. I said, all right, well, I won't be going to FEMCA. It's just way too expensive.
But not only that, you have to put in time for work too.
Yeah,
because this is a week-long race.
Yeah.
Was there any reason for this? Is it usually this early in the year as well?
It just depends on what country it's in, really. So it could be any time through the year, but there wasn't really any reason as to why they decided to do it that early. Maybe it was something to do with the track. Yeah, not that we're aware of. It wasn't announced or anything. So
right, because FEMCA's kind of. I know you guys have your issues with FEMCA. It's kind of like my issues I have with a lot of federations as well, but they're not really. I would say they're better than probably some other federations, but they're not really been very active as well. Kind of suffering from the same stuff that the other federations, trying to get the older guys in, get some young blood in. How would that work over there? Like, does Australia? Who's the FEMCA guy from Australia? How does that work? Because Australia should have a big presence with the amount of races that you have.
It's interesting you asked, really. I'm trying to find some traceability around what the process is, and this might be a good opportunity for you to get the FEMCA president on the podcast and maybe get him to explain it, because there's no FEMCA website. I can't see any process on how any people get voted in at the FEMCA level. We obviously have an RCRA president, and we have an 8-scale off-road president. So I'm assuming that the RCRA president has some voting rights, and maybe they have a general meeting, but there's really not really anything visible online around a general meeting or how that process works.
Right. I'm looking at your notes here. It's you guys. I know one of your biggest complaints was the amount of spots that you get as an Australian, because so let me get this right. Are you guys determined on going for the world from FEMCA, or are you determined from your countries? So it's similar to Europe then with AFRA. So they do it by countries.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, and it's not really complaints, it's really, what is the objective of FEMCA? And, how do we make RC better in the region? And if I take a step back from that, I would consider that one of the things that FEMCA could do is, help to increase the popularity of the FEMCA championships. So, first thing for that, let's get the date set in advance so we can have people go. And then secondly, you think about, well, what does FEMCA mean? Okay, being FEMCA champion, that's great. That definitely has some allure and prestige. It's been won, many times by Har and Kyle McBride. So, there are world-class drivers that have won it before. But how do you take that race to the next level? One of the things that we've thrown around is you need to make the race attractive. So, firstly, is it in a place where people want to go? Is the track, world class? And then what does the race mean? And I think if we think about what does the race mean, if it was allocating spots to the worlds as an example, that would change the whole dynamic. So I think if we look at, the FEMCA block, maybe there's 40 spots as an example out of the 160 or 200 that go to the worlds. At the moment, they get allocated out to countries. So if they took maybe 50% of those spots, right? So if 20 were up for grabs for the top
at FEMCA,
I think it would change the whole dynamic of that FEMCA championship. You would have more people that were interested to go, those top 20 folks, or maybe it was, everyone that made a semi-final, gets to go to the Worlds. Because I think the other thing that you're looking to do as FEMCA is how do you increase the level of the drivers from your region that are attending the event, right? At the moment, I think from memory, and Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Australia's only guaranteed 2 spots. For
2 spots, that's right.
Yeah. Now, we generally get more than that. We have people that put their hand up and we get more. And FEMCA's really good about spreading around the extra spots that they have. But with the amount of, drivers that we have that would be in the semifinals, as an example, or the finals at FEMCA, it's certainly more than 2. So if you look back and think, how do we increase the level and the quality of the drivers from our region? Having something like the FEMCA Championships decide potentially, half of the spots for the Worlds, I think would be an amazing draw card.
And also, I'm just giving people time to go to the race and plan to go to the race. Like, that was very bad on them. And bring some prestige back to it. I agree with you. Like, this race should be on the level of the Euros or the Nationals for you guys. All right. I don't think you're alone in this, because they just had the South American Championships, right? They had it at Buenos Aires. They just had it this past weekend. A lot of my friends went on to it. It was not well attended. It was it didn't have as many. The people were a little bit upset because the track was kind of been the same for the last 4 years, so it wasn't changed. There was but I mean, it just wasn't. I get it. Like, they're trying to do the same thing, get that allure, get that prestige. I still think it's a very prestigious race. I still think being FEMCA is prestigious. Probably we just need to get it pumped back up. And the only way to do that is to get the better guys over there. You guys, we need the New Zealanders, we need the Australians. Like you said, there was no guys from Japan there. No Mugen, no Kyosho representation, like no Hara. Like I was shocked that Hara wasn't even there. So it kind of just was like, yeah, I'm not taking from the young kid from Korea. He was at the Worlds. He's actually the older of the 12-year-olds. So that's great for them and all that stuff. But it's always going to be like, well, there wasn't no real competition there, I would say. I'm being nice. I'm trying to be nice about that.
I think it's important that all these event organizations actually progress with the times as well. And, whether there's a lot of bureaucracy in the process of changing rules or changing formats, I think that's where, a Manilla Masters or an Asian Buggy Championships or a, Thailand Buggy Party, they're sort of only run by a few people. And so they probably got less bureaucracy and the ability to move a bit quicker and change things. So I'm not sure what needs to happen at a FEMCA level to allow for more ideas to be at least even talked about or explored, make it a bit more transparent and easy for people to bring up ideas and maybe make some changes so we can move forward, with the times a little bit, because at the moment it's so locked up and hidden that you can't even see the path forward to make a change, let alone change it. So
do you guys know where FEMCA will be next year? Or that hasn't been announced yet?
No, it hasn't been.
We didn't even know where the Worlds are going to be next year.
No. I mean, I think if you look at it, back to, if Zach and I were to think about from a business perspective as an example, right? I couldn't even tell you what FEMCA's objective is. You need to have a clear stated objective so people know what you're about. That's missing. So I think there's an opportunity for FEMCA to build off the heritage and the prestige that it has. And it's got great heritage and prestige, right? It's a fantastic event. And yeah, maybe it was a little, rushed in terms of planning this year. And, I think we're feeling that. But the event has the opportunity to be something pretty special. It just needs to say, how do we take it to the next level? And, what's the objective? And where does FEMCA want to be in 3 years? What's the plan for FEMCA?
I agree with you. And I think people just get complacent in there. And that's it. And maybe they've done this for a very long time and this is all they know. And you see this in these other federations, like AFRA went through its stage, but AFRA is probably one of the better federations. I mean, ROAR, they just got a new president in. He's already had a vote of no confidence for the former RMT and all this type of stuff because he wants to progress forward, But he also is a little older, So he needs a little help with the social media side of things because he's not into the Instagram. And you know, I feel the same way. Like we need to use these federations as they should be like on the front line of trying to get new people into RC, in my opinion. For example, I will use the BRCA. They just had that MKGP race. They were front and center, like right there. This is RC. This is what we do. Here, try this. I'm like, that is perfect. That's what they should be doing. That's why I give them such mad props. As much as the British are stickler for rules, they have a great association, in my opinion, or the best in the world. So I think they should be striving to be similar to that, in my opinion. All these federations.
Yeah, the exposure on that race is huge, right? It's a pretty special event that they're able to put on. It looks amazing. It gets plenty of the public across RC. So yeah, we need more of that for sure.
I mean, imagine if you did this in like Thailand or somewhere like this, in a mall somewhere or somewhere, I don't know, like that. It would be thousands of people around there. Thousands of people. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's going to buy an RC car, but just great exposure for RC. All right. What else let's go on to our notes because I like some of this stuff. We was talking about well, I guess we should just go right into the Asian Buggy Championships that you guys have next. Or this is something that you guys are doing with Scotty Ernst. It's going to have full live RC coverage. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your plans for this? Tell us all about it. I know you have some great ideas for coverage, which I think is good. I want you guys to say it because we always say things need better coverage, but you guys have it listed down what you want to see so people can understand what we mean better coverage. So whoever wants to take the reins on this, go ahead.
Well, it's Zac's baby. So he's, the genesis of this has really been the East Coast Nationals over the last couple of years, which has been great. It's been something that he's done a superb job, with Ty Beale and the club up in Queensland. So Zac's certainly the best person to talk to this one.
Yeah, so obviously I met Scotty in Manilla at the Manilla Masters, and we'd been talking about hosting a bit of a series throughout Asia and sort of boosting through Live RC, the coverage of the events. And the opportunity came up just before COVID, but it all fell through, obviously. And, we want to try and get as many sort of overseas people as we can. So, yeah, eventually Scotty got back to me after the flights opened up, and we've been planning for the last couple of months, and hopefully we'll announce some information over the next week and get some entries open. And, it's at Pine Hills Dirt Racing, my local track, oiled surface. So it'll be nice and consistent. We're doing a bit of a track rebuild over the next month. But the big focus really is to just get some exposure to some Australian racing scene. We want to get some live RC coverage going. So the guys that did the AOC, the on-road Asian Championships, those guys did a great job doing the live coverage there. They've got a fair bit of experience now doing the live RC. So we're getting them up. They're running the whole streaming service for us. And I guess they're pretty much part of Scotty Ernst's media team now. So he's been dealing with them, and, they do a great job. So, if we can get some live RC coverage, maybe a bit of pit walks, get some exposure to a few other people that maybe have not been on the scene. We've got some great young people here racing, some talent, maybe 13, 14 years old. And Jack Parsi, he's been running the Mayako and improving every year. And, Jackson Beale, Caleb Noble, the list is really endless for young guys. The opportunity for them to race against some international races as well, hopefully from Asia and potentially if we can get some Americans over, that would be ideal for the event, and just give people that opportunity to race against pace that they may not have in the past. Kyle McBride got the opportunity when he was young to race against Renault Savoia, and for him to just see that pace at that young age, I'm sure helped to no end. And so we want to sort of do that again and get that exposure out there.
So you said something interesting. So because Renault spent some time in Australia, right? Yeah, that's cool. I never thought of that. Another good friend of mine, French driver, who's pretty good, is down there now. Felix. He's in Sydney.
Yeah, I think Kyle's talked about that, right? That's a really pivotal time
really,
for Kyle because it was prior to the 2010 Worlds. Renault came out for, a while, lived here and, race week in and week out. And, that really showed Kyle what the world pace was and where he needed to be. And I think that dragged him forward, right? The timing for him was just perfect in terms of his development. He was at the stage where he was already very quick, and that just helped him level up.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to talk a little bit more about Kyle in a minute because we're all speculating about that. But I wanted to go through some of the things here you wanted to do, which I think is great. Zach, you want to have track walk with two top drivers talking about their lines, track in general. I was so upset when I didn't get to DNC. I said, I'll get there Tuesday. Didn't get a track walk in. Okay, it didn't matter because we didn't really use the track, right? But I love those track walks. I love the after qualifying, we need to sit down with the top three and talk about qualifying with F1. I'd love to see that happening. The problem is you have to plan. All this stuff has to be planned. That's what I learned with working with RC Racing TV. Like you have to script all of this, right? And it all has to be fit into the racing program. I know you know all of that. Video close-up of the pros, that can be all videoed and put into like lunchtime breaks and all that stuff. Great idea. General pit walk, we all love this. Phil used to do them really good. Nick does a great job of them as well. Pre-recorded segments to play during live time and breaks. Exactly. The send people out, get those videos of the products, get them talking about it. That's also a place where you can put sponsor, commercials, all that type of stuff. There's so much potential on this live feed. Working with Dany, that's what he was doing. I remember he was actually editing video like, oh, yeah, I need to make a commercial real quick. And he would just edit it up and we'd have a commercial. You sell that space, you get your live stream, we get more RC out there in the algorithm, some chance of people seeing it. That's how I look at it. So all great ideas. I think that's all great coverage, especially like the sitting on with the three people afterwards. That means a lot. Like that brings just a little bit more added full scale effect and professionalism to that side of the hobby and that side of the sport.
That's what makes racing interesting is the personalities, right? So, I mean, you can have 12 hours of cars going around on the track, but if people don't know the personalities behind the car, it's not very interesting. So the show is more so about the people and, their journey to get to the facility and, what their history and background is, what they're running. So many times you see, a pro driver take a photo with their shell on and never talk about the intricate changes that they're doing to the car. You want to know the detail. So many times Phil would walk around doing his pit walks and he would keep pursuing a question to find out the detail rather than, how was your run? Okay, my run was pretty good. Well, that doesn't really tell me anything. I want to know what compound of tire you're running, what tread pattern, why'd you go down in your shock oil because it was colder. Those sort of details are what people learn from and they get interested about. And I guess that's what we want to pursue with some of our coverage. And hopefully we can deliver on some of that.
Yeah, it's definitely missing. You think even about the DNC. I remember when Phil used to go and cover it. I remember waking up, over breakfast every morning when the DNC was on or Silver State, and you'd just be enthralled with, what Phil would put up. It was descriptive. He'd write articles that were great. And then his interviews were awesome. His pit walks were really good. So we've got to get back to that. And I think as Zach says, really peel the onion, get into, why did you make those changes and ask the difficult questions, like not how was your run? No one really gives a shit. Who cares about how was your run? Right. But what did you change for that run? If the track, went away from you, why did you do that? What was you thinking? And ask some of those difficult questions. I think that for me is what's interesting about it. And we need more of that.
I would agree.
And the pros need to understand that is part of the job as well, I think. They can't get frustrated if there are difficult questions put their way because, that's what their job is. They have to sell their product and they need to explain some of the details about their product rather than just hiding in a tent somewhere. Not saying that's what they do, but like that, that could be part of it.
I agree. They have to, it's getting better. You're seeing, I would say like one of those guys you can always go up and talk to without a problem and is always professional is Ronald Folk. He's always going to be there. Most of these guys are, right? But he's always there like, okay, let me stop. Let me fix myself. Let me go talk. And I think it's just a mindset that has to be also accepted by these drivers. They have to be comfortable in front of a camera. They have to be, understand that, okay, these people are going to ask questions and I need to answer the same questions. And people want to know. But it's getting better with stuff like that. Even from when I've been working with people and working with streams and stuff like that and talking to people, they are available to talk to most people. So, but it's still that little awkward, and I get it. I get it.
It's super awkward. I mean, we've been involved in it for decades and we see it, right? It takes a long time to build relationships with some of the people where you feel that you can approach them and, you're not stepping on their toes. And, if I kind of take 2 steps back and think, if I'm running a company and, I'm in a big race and I've got my pro drivers there and I've got other amateur drivers there. And if people are running the products that I'm selling and they don't feel like they can approach, my people, my pros, that's a really difficult environment because you're not engendering any, customer traction. You're not building customer traction with those people. It's almost like, well, the pros are stuck in a tent and how do you go and approach them? I mean, we've talked about this for years. If I was running it, I'd be like, right, at the end of the day, you have an hour set aside or whatever the time is where the pros can sit and, your customers can come and talk to them and they can bring cars or ask questions or anything like that. And I know that's difficult at a race, but I think that's the next level that we need to get to, right? You need to make it more open where people feel comfortable, where, if they're running, whatever brand car it is, they can approach the pros. And you need to make that easier. It is difficult to go and approach them, after a run or whatever. I get it. People feel uncomfortable. So, that's up to the manufacturers to make it easier for their customers to approach pros or, approach, even some of the engineering folks that they've got there at the races that can help out.
Absolutely. What's interesting really with Jared Tebow is I think maybe there's a bit of leaning into what you're talking about there, Ben, where, okay, DNC, there's a lot of pressure to perform. These pros want to be focused on performing to their best ability. And so they maybe don't feel comfortable getting around and talking because that might be time that they're not focused on getting the win. Maybe there is more value for money going to more regional races, getting some time to maybe spend with your customers rather than, okay, maybe it's not so important that I win here. I'm going to perform very good because I'm a top driver, but I've got more time now to go and spend with some regional drivers that are interested in sell my product a lot easier that way than maybe getting a win at a DNC. Does the win at DNC really sell kits, or does spending time with a pro for an hour at a track somewhere and him talking through how good the car is and helping that person improve their own car, does that sell a kit? I would probably say the latter sells kits a lot better than a win at DNC.
I think there's no doubt about that, right? If you look at how many kits, you just need to do the basic math. I think we did this maybe 7 or 8 years ago over a couple of beers. We did a basic math and said, how many kits would you sell for winning a DNC versus how much does it cost, to get the team there? And then what does it cost for a pro driver? If you look at what Mayako's done, I think it's a pretty smart move, right? Jared and Robert were not brought to Mayako, or at least this is my guess, to win races. But if you look at the following that Robert has in Spain, with that following is going to draw a whole lot of new Mayako customers and cars because Robert's going to give them support. And I think you're going to see that as well now with Tebow moving away from focusing, solely on the top races to maybe more of that regional aspect. He'll be able to bring many, many, many customers to the brand. And I think there's a lot to be said for, the regional teams that, some of the brands run. They do a great job of, bringing those regional customers. The pros put the brand up in lights when they win, but I think their manufacturers probably over-rotated on how many pros they had. And I think when they looked at it from a return on investment perspective, they just said, hey, this doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah. You know what? I think TLR did that, like Horizon did that this year. And they said, okay, we're not going to pay Cavalier. Well, I shouldn't say we're not going to pay him what he was getting before. We're doing good. And I actually thought that was probably one of the smartest moves they made. I wanted to touch on, because you brought up a lot of good things. One thing I wanted to touch on was RCGP maybe not have been the big success that I wanted it to be last year, right? That I was hoping it would be. But one thing that was very successful, and I would love I think it's more for smaller races or maybe more regional races that have some pros or something like that, was the RC2 loves RC, like RCGP loves RC2, where they took time. They took, so basically they took the people, it kind of sounds bad because they take the last group of people, so let's say it's 12 drivers, last 12 drivers, and then they paired them up with the 12 pro guys, and the person who finished last got to pick which pro they wanted to be with, and it was basically they got to spend time with him. That guy had a wrench in the car, he drove the car, he showed them what was wrong with it, and then they had a race where they took that guy's best lap versus that person's best overall 5-minute time. I remember the first time we did that, people didn't want to do it, right? They was like, oh no, I don't know if I want to do it. After they did it, they were like, oh, that was the most fun I had at this. And then I remember we went to like England and people were literally looking forward to it. And this guy, he goes, oh, thank you for making last not feel like shite. And they gave everybody that, like, the people that probably needed the most help received the most help. They had the earn race. They got to hang out with a driver that they probably never would have went up and hung out with, even though RCGP was small. It was still people were, even though everything for RCGP was like, hey, come up and talk to me. It was still, I know people are nervous. And even like one of my buddies to this day, he's like, man, that was probably like, he got paired with Alex Zancatine. He's like, that was one of the best experiences I ever had. So we need to see stuff like that. I am all about, these are professional drivers. They get paid to do this for a living. We're not utilizing them in a professional manner. I think. I 100% agree. I 100% agree with that.
That's an awesome initiative. I mean, that's the other thing is, right, people get different things out of RC, right? Mm-hmm. RC is not just all about winning for the majority of people, right? It's about being with your friends. It's creating new friendships. It's having something outside of work to, remove stress or whatever it might be. I get a lot out of, you help someone, you see their, lap time improve, or they get, they enjoy their racing more. That gives me now so much joy. I'm sure, that initiative that you did at RCGP, plenty of the pros really enjoyed it. I bet you those guys that got their help in, setting up their cars and maybe fixing brake linkages and all the little things that make a huge difference in nitro, I reckon across the board, they all probably achieved a better lap time by, more than half a second, right?
People were happy, man. People were happy. And it was good to see. Also, to touch on what you said about Robert and Jared. So right as Robert got signed with Mayako, obviously we went on the South America tour, right? So we're in South America. This is his turf. Like, he speaks Spanish. He's the first Spanish champion. He wins it in South. He's a legend in South America. When I will say this, like, he was on his phone, WhatsApping, Facebook. He was busy. Like, he was busy. Like, people, he's not there for his results. He's there because Robert's smart. He wants to continue on in RC after his time of being fast is over. He's very personable. He's very hardworking, too. He's hardworking. I mean, he would be up, like, he would be like, Robert, like, put your phone on. It's like, nope. And Tebow is, I think, like that, but also Ronafalk is like that, right? So when Ronafalk took Mayako, he also, people don't understand, he also is working. He's also up there being a distributor up there in Sweden, and they did things like have a barbecue like had a race, and they had a barbecue for the Mayako guys and all that stuff. So it's lots of things like that build. I always said, Dany always used to say to JQ, you should just go, because we used to leave the van on the East Coast, right? And it's like, he used to say, you should just go to the East Coast and just focus over there, because people would love you over there. You go to all those regional races, you can do your invisible speed. You would get so much more customers than coming over and spending 5 months in SoCal.
Yeah.
And I always and it's true. It's true. When you go around and do these, like when I first started with JQ Racing, like I did a lot of that. I went to the big races, but then I would take a couple of weeks off, and then I would, we'd have the JQ van on the East Coast. I go to a little race here, and I go there when I was in America, and that all means a lot to people. I'm not no setup guru, but just showing up and supporting those people that support you. So it definitely, yeah, like you can't have 3 race drivers. Like it's not gonna, you're just not gonna sell enough kits to support those type of teams. That's why I couldn't, like when Techno had that big team, I didn't understand how they did it with so many top drivers that I know they had to pay, right? So
yeah, we've seen it before, right? We've seen it with Durango. It goes in waves. I mean, there's so many people that, like Robert and David and Jared, you look at Drake and what Drake's built, over the last 20 years. He's done that because he's personable, he's approachable. He goes to those regional races, he builds a following. Spencer does the same thing with a lot of his, online videos and the things that he does at the track. So, there's plenty of good examples of how it can be done. Probably just needs more of it.
Yeah, then you think on the flip side, what about guys like Cavallari, who have just been a racer their entire career? What happens to, he's probably getting to that point. Look, he's at WRC. He did pretty good. He did good with the car. He did good with the car at DNC, but he's driving Schumacher, right? He was at the MKGP. He was in the B-Mains. Like, what do you do when you're Cavallari, you're 36 years old, and you've just been a racer all your life? Whereas I think but you know what? That happens in RC. How many world champions have just faded off into obscurity? I would rather see these guys be. It should be something that you work that hard. Like a guy like Cavallari works all his life racing, right? All his life racing, wins multiple world championships. He's part of like the 3 most dominant guys you ever seen in RC. But he could be out of RC next year and like non-existent. That's kind of sucks. Like all that work you do in that time. So it's important. You got to build your brand. You got to be eclectic. You gotta think of the future. Like, and this is what guys like Robert's thinking. He's like, I want to be in RC. This is what I want to be around. How can I still be my name be relevant and be effective? Jared, JTP is doing all that type of stuff. He's seen the same thing. Smart moves. And also, I think Tebow wants to spend some time with his family. I think he can still be competitive, but I think he's not willing to put in he's going to be on her. We're going to talk about it more, but I would say the amount of time that he has to put into be competitive with these guys now is a lot as well. It is. I mean, but you're racing again. Like look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I saw these young guys, right? These Killicks and these Parientes, and these kids are knocking on the door of a whole different type of driving style that these older guys, if they don't adapt, they're not going to be able to catch them. Like they're taking what they're scrubbing and all that, and they're just doing stuff. Like I'm just like.
So let's talk about that. You raise a really interesting point, Lefty, that we've been thinking about for a long time. People glorify like, oh, I want to be a pro RC racer. I cannot think of a more challenging job to have to do and get out of bed week in and week out. If you think about, a corporate career or whether you've got your own business, one of the things, as you go through that year on year is you build experience, right? And, with experience comes seniority and all those sorts of things. Now in RC, it's a different kind of mindset because what you have is, you think about the Ryan and Jared show, right? They've been amazing, those 3 guys, over decades now. But they've consistently got young kids who are nipping at their heels trying to take their jobs. The kids don't have mortgages. The kids don't have kids. The kids don't have any worries. They deal with stress in different ways. For them, it's just a fun race that they're going to. It's not a world championship, right? They just go and try to win it. Look at what Kyle did back in 2010, coming fourth, right? He didn't really have a view when he was, 13 or 14 about what he was really doing. He was just going and racing and enjoying himself. So I think, you look at the amount of talent coming out of Europe, whether it's 10 scale or 8 scale, Marcus Kurup, the Hall brothers, like you've got so many people in North America and in, Europe and even Asia, this young Korean kid who's 12, they've all got youth on their side. They don't have any financial worries. I mean, the amount of stress that you would go under as a pro when you line up for a Worlds or a main, knowing that, you know, there is contingency money on it and you need to win that to pay the bills. And that's huge. And then you get to 35 and you've got no job because you've got 14-year-olds who've taken it. I mean, it's a
crazy.
Brutal career, absolutely brutal career. And people, I don't think people get it. People just think, oh, being a pro is cool. You go get to race all over the world. And I'm not sure that that's as cool as everyone thinks it is.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a
lot
huge
of pressure. I mean, you kind of saw it, like, if you and what people don't like. I think so. There's a lot of it is glorified, but these guys do probably 3 weekends a month, right? They have to, like you said, they're like the top guys. They get paid well, right? But also, like, it's a difference between first and sixth, you know. And then that guy who's like 10th, he's probably looking forward to that contingency money that he's going to get, stuff like that. Or if Mayfield finishes 10th, he's definitely not making as much money as he did as he's going to finish first. It's that pressure to always perform. Everywhere you go, you got to perform. You can't go. You go to a club race, you got to perform. You know, you go to a regional race, you got to perform. And then it just, there's not like, these guys we ain't selling hundreds of thousands of product every quarter. These guys aren't making millions of dollars as professional RC car drivers. You're probably making more money than most of these guys at a regular job. And it's still fun, but it's a job. That's what I try to tell people all the time. It's still a job, and it's still a performance-based job. Where if you ain't performing, you are not. We're seeing it. Like you these guys, they're getting to the end of the. Maybe not a Ryan Mayfield. I think has still got some years left in him, right? Well, look at Ryan Lutz. Ryan Lutz this past weekend, he went to Adrenaline. He got beat by Lee Setzer. Lee Setzer has been doing really well. Like, he's been making A mains in 8 scale. He's been making A mains in 10 scale. He's quietly just coming up and getting better. Like, you know, what are you supposed to do against that? No, like you said, no responsibilities, no kids, just out here he's trying to live his RC dream too. You know what I say? Go for it. This is what we need. We need these young guys coming up and doing this as well.
Absolutely. Man, amount of times that we've gone to like a really big race and we might have been at that race for 5 days or a week, and then we leave the event and, you know, we say to each other, man, I'm glad that I don't need to look at an RC car for a week or two, right? Yeah. But to imagine you go to DNC, you spend a week racing there and you're doing 14-hour days at the track, and then you just go straight to the next race. I think that's what the guys did. They went to an EP race after DNC, and then straight on to the next one after that. That is brutal.
A big 10 scale race. They went to Desert Classic with European guys that are like basically the world's warm-up. So
yeah, and that's got to take the enjoyment out of it. I mean, you know, you say, yep, you're having fun, but that ain't fun after a while. You're just like, I need to have a break from it. And, you know, that's why having a real job sometimes, while, you know, it's boring when you're at the real job, it really makes going to an RC event fun because you're not doing it all the time. Yeah,
I agree. And I think this is the big disconnect in RC. We need to, for 99.5% of us, it's a hobby. That is a sport, I would say, because I still consider 100%. It a sport. And for that 0.5%, it's their job, it's their pressure. Like I can't, like I have, you know, I do this for a living now. So if one of these sponsors leave, my value, you know, it drops down. Like, oh, maybe I can't afford this. All of that, it's all performance based. RC is completely performance based. It is pressure. It's great. Don't get me wrong. I love this job. I love being inside of it, but being working in it. But I see it from this. I see that from this, what you guys are looking at as well. I see these guys that, yeah, they put so much pressure on themselves at this race, or they're doing this. Like, I tried to explain this. I explained this to my buddies the other day. So we was talking about football and like, just different things like that. And I was trying to tell them, I said, look, the mentality of these guys like Ronafog, Mayfield, Cavallari, Tebow, the mentality that these guys have is no different from the mentality that Cristiano Ronaldo has or Messi has and all that type of stuff. I said, what you got to understand is that those guys are playing football on a level that's much bigger than RC. These guys who are champions and at this level in RC have the same mentality as those guys, same drive as those guys. It's just in RC. So you're dealing with that type of mentality in an RC. That's why they're the best in RC. Just like a Ronaldo is who he is, or a Messi who he is. The only difference is they're in a different sport. It's the mentality and the ability that they have to take that to do better and be better than other people that people just don't have. It's no different.
It's important to talk about the career lifespan as well. I mean, the Tebow, the Mayfield, they've had probably the longest RC career, I think, out of any driver. I mean, Kinwald, Pavitas, those guys haven't spanned the length that these guys have had. And, now they're probably coming to the end of their career. I'm sure they're starting to think about their future, like what Tebow is doing. But, we've been talking about it a lot. We've got a lot of fast drivers. You look at Alex Benazic, who is easily the fastest driver in Australia now. But, he's not really gone on the international scene because he's off getting an apprenticeship. He's setting up his future, but he still really likes RC. He still wants to compete. He's heading over to Silver State this year. So, but yeah, talking about that with the young guys and just, putting into perspective, what the lifespan of a career is going to be is so important for young guys, just to make sure you just have something else.
Most definitely. Most definitely. So important. Yeah. Most definitely. And RC is something that I always say this, you can't train and like you get 35, you train harder, and you work harder to be just at that level. But in RC, you can't do that. You get to 35, and once this hand-eye coordination goes, or once it's.
I don't even think it's the hand-eye coordination, Lefty. I really don't.
You think it's just life?
I think it's life. I don't think. I mean, you see guys like Rick Howard, who's an amazing talent, and there's plenty of drivers that have got. That are on the wrong side of 30 or 40 and still super, super fast. But I think so much of this comes down to, life and pressure. And you have to have everything perfect as well. I mean, you really do. You got to have the right package. Everything's got to be on point from that perspective. And then you've got to have a really strong mental state to be able to deal with it. Mayfield's done a phenomenal job, I would say.
I would say so too. He doesn't get frazzled that much.
Far and away above, everyone else, and it's ironic because if you think about it in the electric days, way back when, he probably was a little more aggressive than, Tebow and Cavalieri. And it's, he may have had a few less wins there, but on the post side of his career, post kind of 2010, 2012, I mean, he's just accelerated now, and he's almost unbeatable when it comes to, certainly racing in North America in Nitro. He's just doing amazing things, and he's proving that he's dealing with, his personal situation and the pressure better than most.
I have to say, at DNC, I just watched him will that race. Like he won that race because he just, I'm going to win it. Like that's it.
But he won that race because he drove really smart as well.
Yeah, he did.
Mayfield 15 years ago wouldn't have won that race. I would say, right? He would have overdriven it. He drove that race at like 92%, right? He did exactly what he needed to do. And that's what he's doing amazingly well, right? He's managing the races. He knows what he needs to do to win, and he's in the right mental frame to be able to do it. I don't think there's like, if he would have won the Worlds, I wouldn't have been surprised either. I just think he's at a level. I think, like you said, it's a mental level that he's at right now. He knows he doesn't have to go out there and TQ runs. He doesn't have to start first. He's good. He can start fourth or fifth I think he can start farther back from that, but he has the mental fortitude. Okay. So he knew that Fend had another, one less pit stop than him. So you have to, on a track like that it's so crazy because you don't even know who's where or what, who's doing what, right?
A lot of pressure. Yeah.
You have to figure out how to not keep calm. I saw him do this at the Nationals too. And he did this at the Nationals in 2021 because you had the Aiden Hood or somebody had one less pit. He has mastered that. Okay, I need to conserve. I need to push. If people ain't going to figure out, then it's going to beat him. His racecraft is impeccable all right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be very hard to beat him in a lot of situations. Very hard.
Yeah, he's super confident, right? I mean, you kind of trace it back to, and he's won a lot of electric races, right? Don't misinterpret what I was saying there, but I think that, you know, a turning point for him almost was, you know, that double worlds win in China. You know, that in the back of his mind, he's like, right, I've achieved that, I've done it. And then somehow, as he's had a family, he's been able to keep the run going where, you know, others haven't. So kudos to him. He needs to keep doing what he's doing. It's obviously working for him.
Yeah, and he's completely opposite. He's no social media. Yep. You know, what I do like that he does his race reports now. He's no, and maybe that's key. Maybe that's what prolongs his mental state. I don't have to deal with that. I can just enjoy RC and go do what, you know, enjoy my family, and then whoever takes care of social media takes care of social media. I think we're gonna get to a point where at some point, like, companies are gonna have to hire PR people and all this type of stuff. So
it happens in the corporate world. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't do his social media, right?
No, I don't think he does. Like his posts and all that stuff. I don't think he does.
I don't, my guess is he doesn't do that, and nor should he, because his focus needs to be elsewhere, and that's where the team around him, you know, has to give him, you know, that space to be able to race and do what he's doing. I mean, you see the same, you know, whether you're a CEO of a company or you've got a senior role, you know, people don't manage their own LinkedIns, right? That's done for them. So it's the same thing in the corporate world.
I agree. I think we're gonna see how long he can go. I think this is the pro. I think we're gonna see him like just be 40 something and still be a threat. I truly do. I think he's gonna go as long as he wants to. That's how I think it's gonna happen.
I think arguably he's definitely in the peak performance he's ever raced at. Like Ben was saying, he's calmed down. His race technique is incredible. This is the best he's been driving, and it's interesting also to see Fend working through that transition as well. You know, like 5 years ago, watching a DNC that was arguably not even as rough as the track that we raced on this past couple of weeks, and he was exploding all over the place. But this meeting, like, yes, he made a few mistakes, but you know, that was a pretty gnarly track. But he kept his head. Even after he made a mistake, he sort of buckled down, and he would have, you know, 10 minutes without mistakes. And impressive to see from Fend. And I think
that's impressive
over the next couple of years. Like he's demonstrated really over the last couple of years that every year he's improving his race etiquette and racecraft. And I think we need to. The battle between those two is gonna keep happening over the next couple of years.
It's those two, and then whoever comes third. That's how it is right now in America. I think somebody has to step up and beat them at some point, though. I just don't know who's going to do it. I would like to see maybe a Fuller do it. That's why I'd like to see it. But it's going to be very hard to beat those two guys. They're right now. And Fend's 26, 27. You know?
Trajectory is long, right? You think about, I mean, I remember being back at Hot Rod Hobbies for the shootout in 2009. You know, and he was only little then. I mean, his trajectory is huge, right? He's been around a long time. He knows how to race. You know, he's got Barry helping him now, so he's got the right people around him. And, you know, you're seeing it, right? He's progressing. He's got 15 years ahead of him. Like, look out.
He's the best. I have him as the best all-around off-road driver in the world right now. He can win on any surface and 10 scale, and he can win at any 8 scale race, I think, as well. Definitely impressed. And he's a nice dude. Like, he's always available to talk. He's one of the guys always available to talk. And then I got to see a side of him where he's like enjoying RC and having fun and drinking and all that stuff at Masters of Dirt. All right. So I want to finish this up. Let's talk about some Australian racers. So I did get to meet a bunch of them at Silver State last year. And I think is Jameson, he's from New Zealand, right? Right. So I did meet a bunch of Australians there. I mean, it's always, you guys are always coming over. Like Ben Sterling comes to DNC. You guys have traveled a lot. This year was a bunch of. I got to meet what's his name, Shane O'Connor. Was it not Shane O'Connor?
Shane O'Connor.
Yeah, I finally got to meet him. Oh, is it? No, it's another one that's real fast from New Zealand too. But it was a big contingent of New Zealand guys there this year. I am waiting for Alex to come to America because I really want to see him do well.
Yep. Yeah, I know amazing talent, right? He's He's phenomenal. It's one of the things that I really enjoy now, you know, sort of from an RC perspective, is looking at talent and identifying it. I think, you know, I said to Jason and Allison a few years ago, you know, we need to look at Alex for J Concepts, and he's been phenomenal. You know, his progression chasing Kyle throughout Australia, and I think he's going to Silver State. So, you know, he couldn't go to the Worlds last year. As Zac said, he's doing an apprenticeship, so he's doing the right thing for his career moving forward. But he'll be at Silver State and he'll get to race there, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. He's going to be awesome.
How do you think he's going to make on that rough track? You guys got stuff like that in Australia?
Yeah, he races on that stuff up in Queensland on some of the drive.
What am I talking about? Like, the Australian guys did well, like at that race. I think didn't Jackson win something or something?
Yeah, Jackson Bill won the intermediate truggy. Yeah, so yeah. Alex will do well. He's been doing a lot of practice on sort of a similar style blown out track that's loose. So he's been putting in the work doing that, and I'm sure he's going to head over and the thing that we always sort of do when you go to a big meet, certainly when it's your first international meet, is you tend to run to the pros and see what they're doing, and you get lost in their setups. And I just hope that, you know, when he goes over there, he sort of falls back on what he knows, because it's just so easy to deviate from what you always run and think that the setup that the pros are running is going to suit your driving style, when it's just 90% of the time it just puts you in a whirl spin, and you end up so far away from what you normally run, and it's usually the wrong thing for your driving style and setup. So if he just sticks to what he knows, I'm sure he'll do really good.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. Hey, the amount of worlds I've done that at is just, I need to slap myself in the head. You know, you go down chasing what the team's doing or what the pros are doing, and you just need to stick with what you know. It makes such a difference. And I think we said that to Alex and his dad before the Worlds in Perth in 2018. You know, we said, go with what you know. Don't go chasing what everyone else is doing. Just stick to what you know. And, you know, that advice kind of, for me, sticks with everyone. You know, when you go to a big race and everything, you got to go knowing your own setups. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing and stick to it. And at the end of the day, I think you'll be better off for it.
Well, I mean, I've heard everybody talk highly of him, so I'm interested to see him race. I mean, he's beaten Kyle fair and square in Australia at places that he's good at. I mean, we might as well segue into that. What is it gonna? I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have heard that Kyle McBride has retired. Right? It's no official post, but he hasn't raced. He hasn't done anything for a while. We had our say on this. I've talked to you guys how I felt about Kyle McBride. I thought he was probably that I always say this. I think Kyle should have left Australia back when he was running, I think, Associated. He should have went to Australia. He should have went to America. He should have stayed there. For whatever reason, he didn't. I still think, unfortunately, I still think any racer coming from Asia, Australia, kind of has to do that as well, just because of that. Can we see that for, like, Alex? Do you think that's possible for him? Or he's just going to have to stay?
I don't think that's his trajectory. That's
okay.
Not his chosen path, right? So, I mean, on the Kyle side of things, I mean, yeah, you have to ask Kyle. I've only heard the rumors as well that are going around. You know, he obviously didn't get to DNC. We'll have to wait and see what comes out from that perspective. I don't think any racer living in Asia can really make it as a pro. And I think the reason behind that is, you know, the level of competitive racing is so high globally now. And it's so high because all these guys are racing with each other week in and week out, right? You know, Kyle was at the top.
Amazing what he was able to do.
He was phenomenal in Australia. And think about the talent that the guy had, because he was able to go onto a world stage with very little international racing.
And do well.
Like, he had fourth a number of times at the Worlds, which is just phenomenal. So I look at it and say, you know, what could he have done? You know, if he did move to the US back when he was with AE, you know, he won the Reedy race, you know, that time when he was before he got to Invite.
He won Silver State.
Yeah, he won Silver State. So
he's like, let's talk about big races here, like at a very competitive time of RC. It's I think it's just a shame because I always, you know, you guys have had some very talented drivers, but just never anybody to really get over that. Like, I thought I would say Kyle's come the closest. He's come the closest. He's done well. He's done well on an international stage. Like, I like Kyle. I think he's fast, but it's very. I guess it's also hard to stay motivated when you're like the big fish in the pond as well.
Yeah,
and you have to get to that. You have to be challenged. You have to challenge yourself. If you ain't, you're just not going to be able to beat those guys.
And everything has to line up for you to, lift your life up and move to another country. And realistically, you're going to have to, if you're Australian, if you don't have an EU passport through, your family history, you're probably going to have to try and work out how do you get employed, by the manufacturer, if you're running for a US company and you need a job in the US, right? You need a green card. You can't just, I
thought that's what it was going to happen when he went associated.
Right. Traveling for 3 months, is not enough. You need to be racing with these guys every single week on the program that they race. That's the only way you're going to make it.
I agree.
And it's just way too expensive to do it otherwise. I mean, if you're flying backwards and forwards between Australia and America, I mean, what company's picking that bill up? You need to get over there and you need to live there. That's the only way that it's ever going to happen. And that's a pretty big commitment. You need to be very confident in yourself that you can make it work. You need to be really at the pointy end of things, and to get to that level now is very difficult. Really, you're not going to do it in Australia. The only way you're going to do it is by racing against people week in, week out, like Ben was saying. So, it's a pretty big commitment from the start, and then you need to understand what the long-term trajectory of a career is as well. It's probably going to be quite difficult, especially, even if you just look at housing prices in Australia. Like, Australia is probably one of the most expensive places in the world to buy a house. That's all on the mind of someone who wants to make a career out of RC. The average house price is probably $750 $1 million now. Just the average house in Australia.
That's crazy.
So
that's crazy.
To buy a house, being an RC driver, that's pretty difficult, I'd imagine.
And think about it now, right? With what we've been talking about, if you look through a 2010 lens, right, a pro RC career looked very different to if you're starting in 2022 or 2023. I mean,
had a salaries too, I would assume, back then.
Yeah, the thought of lifting your life up and going to the US now. I mean, I don't think anyone would do it if out of Asia. It just doesn't make sense. There's too much risk involved when you see what's happening with all of these pros. I think the amount of pros that get paid to do this for a career only decreases over time.
Oh yeah, I agree. But let's finish it off on some positive notes. Australia's back racing hard. I see the guys over on the West Perth and all that. Not Perth. Where the Thylacine is, they're racing. Obviously, I follow.
That's Perth,
yeah, that's Perth. I followed the bunch of the Australians. Obviously, Jack Parsi, who because he runs Mayako, very nice young man. Him and his father coming along at a great rate as well. All those guys made the trip over to New Zealand. That's good to see. Lots of 10 scale going on road in Australia. You guys are back out racing. Another podcast I listen to, Action RC. He's pretty good.
Yes,
he's Australian.
He's great.
It's good to see because you guys went through a lot. But like when COVID came, you guys shut down. There was nothing going on. Races were canceled mid races. I remember all this type of stuff. So it's good to see that you guys are back and running. And yeah, I thought it would be cool to have you guys on to talk some Australia RC. Is there anything you want to say prior? Oh, we didn't give the dates of your race, Zach, of the Asia. Hold on, you have it here. The Asia Buggy Championships.
Asian Buggy Championships, 13th to 16th of July. Keep an eye out for it. We'll get all the video up, live RC, get some good content out there, and looking forward to having some international people come back to Australia, and we'll have some great racing at our track. It's an awesome facility. Really, we've got everything set up, especially for an international guests and drivers to come to. They can turn up. They'll have pit space. They'll have undercover areas. They have a good canteen. Awesome driver's stand. We've got permanent lights around the track. If we do need to run into the evening, it's going to be an awesome event, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone.
Sweet. Also, if you guys want format, spreadsheets, all this type of stuff, or even I think you had a whole guide how to start a track and all that stuff. with with this track as well, hit up Zac. He's like you and JQ. You love your spreadsheets and all that stuff, and you guys love making formats. So you have some good formats, some good stuff to do. I look forward to this. I'll be watching this. Like I said, it's good to see the Australians racing again because I follow the scene, and now that you guys are gonna have some video and stuff like that, and I'm looking forward to Alex, man. I really want him to do well at Silver State. I do. I really want to see him do well because you guys hyped him up a lot, and I think he can. Because all these, I mean, like I want to see somebody come in and shake things up. That's what I want, and I think what better storyline than that? Because that's what RC really needs is more storylines. That's what we need to focus on. Give these people some character and storylines. Ben, anything you want to say before we close this up?
No, look, Lefty, looking forward to racing and what's coming up in the calendar in the year. We were just down in South Australia for a race there, which was great. So we got to see Dexter and a few of the guys, and it was good to get together and race against them. And I'm looking forward to Scotty's race. The production that he puts on is world class, and I think that's what makes a race at the end of the day, right? Is the production, the facility, and then having a commentator like himself. Zac and I will get to have Scotty commentate the race in Manilla in a month from now, and then Zac's race with Scotty later on in the year. So I'm looking forward to that. It creates such a buzz, and I'm sure it's going to create some amazing content for everyone globally and some good racing to watch as well. Yeah,
Scotty, hey, I got to work with him at Masters Dirt. The guy's a machine. He's a machine. He don't stop, and he's good people, and he's busy, super busy. And that's good to see. And he was good at MKGP. I thought that was awesome. But you know what? I think we'll have you guys on after Philippine Masters. Let's have a recap because you guys will be there. So it'll be good.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
All right. Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you for your time. Keep up the good work. Good luck with the Asia Buggy Championship. I hope it fills up. Hope you get some of the Asians come down to that. And yeah, man, let's get you guys back on her after that and talk some more RC too. Cool.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Lefty.
Thank you guys for all the support. I appreciate it.
Cheers, man.
Cool. Thank you to Zac and Ben for their time. Thank you for Techno for all their support. We really look forward to watching the Philippine Masters. Going to be interesting to see Angaro and Battier and all those guys go at it. Not sure on who everyone's going, but it should be good. And Max and I still have a side bet on how long it's going to take for JQ to get in trouble in the Philippines.
I think it's gonna happen before he lands, dude.
If anybody could pre-piss somebody off before he even gets into a country, it is JQ. I'm pretty sure he has pre-pissed off many people before arriving in a country that he's supposed to be. I will see him shortly in Portugal, and I'm gonna have to slap him around a little bit, get him in shape. You know what? So we're gonna do our new. I was slipped out. So we have a new sponsor for the Hot Laps section, which we're going to do. We're doing it between us because I kind of recorded without guests. But when I have guests, my point is going to be to bring them on and ask these. We did this before when we first started, but it's now called the Hot Race Tires Hot Laps or Hot Race Hot Laps. I want to thank you to Nicola and Robert Battier for the help coming on as a sponsor on the podcast. I know I'm supposed to have the logo and all this stuff up here, but I didn't have it in time before we recorded this. So thank you to Nicola Marone and Robert. They actually suggested this type of segment, so it's pretty cool. We're gonna get a nice video made up for them and all that stuff, and more information about Hot Race tires. Thank you to them. Nico's off to Singapore next week, and he was telling me his schedule. I like Nicola, nice guy. Thank you, Bobby Battier. All right, Max. So do you want to go do you want to just give me my hot laps, or do you want to go first? So by the way,
I can give you yours.
Okay, so by the way, hot laps is supposed to be answered in 3 words or less.
Yeah.
I am excited.
Okay. Real off-road.
Never coming back.
Okay. You think it's dead? Dang. Okay, now I'm kind of hesitant to ask this because I don't think I'm gonna like the answer. E-Truggy.
The future.
No, no, it was even worse than I thought. Okay. Okay. Now kind of a switchback. So European racing scene.
Looking forward to watching it. I want to say looking forward to watching it firsthand.
Really?
But so to reiterate, watched plenty online. Watched a little bit when I was over, but not with RCGP. Watched a lot of it at the Worlds, but now going to IBC, I get to watch it like probably a real type of European race. So it's gonna be interesting. Sorry,
Okay.
I had to explain that.
Yeah. Okay. And then American racing scene.
Hot right now.
Okay. Okay. Now this was my favorite question. So favorite Worlds final from any class.
You know what? I was going to ask you about this, a Worlds final. Man, I don't know because I don't know them all, but I would have to. I'm going to be biased. 2022 Worlds. Sorry.
Yeah, that I have to say that was like when I thought what would be mine. That was definitely one of the top choices, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. That was a stacked mains, to be honest.
Yeah,
And there was stacked semis. So.
Yeah, and it was like racing from start to finish. Okay, Ongaro led for most of the main, but still, like, it was close.
Okay. All right. Is that all? You have any more?
Yeah, that's all my 5 hot race.
Okay. All right. So I have 4 for you, and I think I have a 5th one in my brain. So first one is, because I know you're a big fan of this, WRC Rally is
greatest motorsport.
Okay. Number 2, if you and JQ woke up in jail, what would be your first 3 words to him?
I gotta go with 4. What's wrong with you?
Oh, he'll probably
because
say,
I know he would have been the one who got us in trouble.
Oh, what the fuck did you do? No.
Yeah,
there would you be. All right,
Yeah.
Number 3, if you had an RC time machine, and you can go back to like the beginning, not the beginning, I would say like early 2000s Attitude Era 1/8 scale racing, right? You can go back to that. What are 3 things you would bring back from this future right now and give it to those guys? Like if you came back like a Greek god and said, "Here, you have fire." What would you give to RC people? What would you give to Greg Degani, Jeremy Coates, Richard Saxon, and all those guys back in the Attitude Era?
Dang, there's so many things.
3 things.
I'd say, well, number 1 has to be engines.
Okay.
Then I'd say plastics.
So durability.
And, durability, yeah, and body designs. I'm one of those guys who definitely likes the new style bodies.
Okay. Well, that's good because the next question is actually about bodies. Because I know you love Arrow and you argue, and this is why you and Jeff Keaton don't like each other really deep down because he doesn't agree if you have wings on your body. But 3 words to say to anybody that said, and JQ, because he doesn't believe in this, but I believe he does, that say Arrow on 8 scale buggy bodies is placebo. What would you say 3 words to those people?
Physics scale down.
Okay, good.
It's that
and the
simple.
last hot laps of this episode 232 would be, Max, you had one, you can only race one of these ever for the rest of your life. One of these 2 you have to race. It's 10 scale carpet racing or 10 scale clay USA dirt sanding down tires racing. Which one do you pick?
Carpet, 100%.
I would agree with you there too. I pick carpet 100% all the time too.
If it like one thing, it would be if you didn't have to sand down the tires, then I would pick dirt. But because I know how it is,
Slicks seem to work if you get the right slicks.
Yeah, it's like it has to be spec tire and spec additive and all that. So yeah. Carpet 100%.
All right, well, thus ends our first official hot race hot laps. Check out Hot Race Tires, everybody. Second, they're just doing great things. They're big in Europe, big in America. They just, Nicola's a good people. They got people involved with them. Thank you for their support. We greatly appreciate it. You know what? If you guys have some questions for the hot laps, shoot me a message. Shoot me an email. We're always looking for this. And it's meant to be fun. It doesn't have to be RC related. It could be obviously it can't be, like too intimate and stuff, but it doesn't have to be RC related. All right, Max, I think that ends it. We're having a short podcast after 4.5 hour one, 4 hour and 20-minute one last time.
The last two have been long.
Tried a few different things this week. We're always trying to try different things. Get it on. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you to BJ for the help with the notes this week. The notes were excellent. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you to Ben and Zach for coming on board. It was a great catch up. I don't know if we're going to do things like that. I kind of want to do different regions and have a specific podcast for them if I can, and maybe just once a month. So I kind of want to do Latin America. That'd be in Spanish. The Australian Asia move. Maybe them guys can be in charge of making the podcast and redo it, and I host it and I edit it up and put it up. And it's basically talking about what's going on in that region, but it gets the exposure to everybody else through the No Name RC podcast. Because what I want is people to understand the other regions RC. Obviously, in Latin America, you won't because it's Spanish, but you get the gist. So maybe we'll do more of this. We'll see. It gives a spotlight to that person and there's that country, that region. So we shall see. We hope you guys enjoyed the hot laps. If you have any suggestions for that, we're gonna do some more ranking systems. We're still trying to figure that out. Max doesn't want to do feelings. He just wants to do facts.
Yeah.
I just want to do pure feelings, so it doesn't really get along like that. But maybe it does. We don't know. But we hope you enjoyed this podcast. We will, obviously, as you guys know, I will be traveling. I will be trying to release the podcast. When I'm traveling like this, it's kind of hard. I will be doing some content, maybe some dropping off in some hobby shops as well. I'm going to do a few toy hunts as well. I know there's nothing to do with RC cars, but I'm going to do a little toy hunt because Dany used to be into toy hunting. Looking forward to that. Or like all the YouTube guys that I follow, most of them are in South Florida, North Carolina. So maybe I'll run into them. And I'm looking forward to being back in America for the NNRC Southeast Tour. If you see me, we've talked on Facebook, please just come up, shake my hand, tell me your name, tell us where we talked or we met, because I'm sorry, I meet so many people I forget. I forget. I usually forget, and I'm getting bad. I'm getting old. My memory's going. Gonna be 45 this year. Hey, Jake, you guys 40 soon. Woohoo!
I want to see Joseph win the 40 plus at DNC.
He is not going to win 40 plus. He ain't beating Drake.
He can like Drake. He can beat Drake. Yeah, he can.
Not
like
Drake. Joseph is not beating Drake. Avo. He's retiring. He's retired. He said he's retired. He has a retirement.
Yeah, but like 40 plus is kind of like retirement class,
We shall see. Well, unfortunately, we'll get my yellow boat in the water before I leave, so I'm gonna have to wait till I come back.
Okay. Please don't sink it immediately.
No, you put pool noodles in there so it doesn't sink. Because if you don't, and that thing flips over and gets water, it goes. So you got you stuff it with pool noodles. So when it does flip over, because water's gonna enter it, it keeps it afloat. So if I don't put pool noodles in it, then my body's gonna have to go scuba diving for it.
Yeah.
So there we go. The fun things about boats, right? Yeah, scuba diving.
I just can't. Like for me, like just going to marshal a car from a ditch is too much. Like
I was told to not stop talk nonstop boat stuff to you.
I mean, the thing is, like they look fun and they probably are fun to like drive, but like to me, it's like it doesn't tingle my brain,
I'm sure it would once you figure out what you need to do to make them go. The angles and stuff that you need. It's all about angles.
I know. Fluid dynamics is fun to.
Oh my
an
gosh,
extent.
you'd be putting scoops and wings on your boat and all this type. Oh my gosh. And you can fiberglass and mold all that shit. No boats for you. No boats for you. Max, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that tuned in and listened. We will be back when we have you on again. We will have questions. We just didn't have time this week. And I look forward to seeing everybody here in the Southeast pretty soon. With that said,
I would like, before you go to the ending shout outs, I would like to apologize to Ryan Cavallari for saying things a little bit too harsh, but sometimes the truth has to be faced. Nothing against Ryan, but I don't know. I kind of wish him just to do well, dude. I don't know.
Well. I have no doubt that Ryan Cavallari.
Okay, I have my fingers crossed he finishes on the podium this week.
Watch him go win Silver State.
Wouldn't that be like? I'd be like.
I am not surprised if he wins Silver State.
The thing is, like, I wouldn't be either.
You have to do something crazy.
Yeah, okay. I have to agree. But the thing is, like, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see him win like a big race. Because that's how he is.
Don't change your story. Don't change your story.
No. My story is.
What are you gonna do?
Okay.
You know, we ask the people out there. You know what? No, but somebody might tell you to do something really bad. What should Max do if Cavallari wins Silver State? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
YouTube comments.
I don't even know what that could be. But okay, like luckily the possibility of that happening isn't very high. But like in my mind, I can see Cavallari winning a big race like that. So I'm a little bit scared.
You should be. You should be. Never count out the GOAT. Such heresy coming out of your mouth, Max.
I know, but the thing is, like, I remember the time where you was like you would have, like, if you saw Cavallari, you would have like kneeled down and like prayed in front of him, like, hey, nice to see you, all that. He was like your hero. Now you switch to Mason Fuller. Now Mason Fuller is your best friend.
I'm all about the youth, man.
Yeah. You kind of went from GOAT to youth, you know.
No, I remember. I'm still freaking out over Fenn, and then we have Ronald Falk. So there's enough for me to go around. I freak out over all of them. So
that is true. I give them all tough love. So
you do. You definitely give them that finished love.
Yeah, but I think sometimes people need a little bit of a kick in the ass to get things going, you know?
Definitely a kick in the arse. You know what? With that said, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you to everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you to the NNRC squad. We can't do it without you guys. Thank you to the members on YouTube. We can't do it without you guys. If you're joined, there's a link in the written description. Thank you to these awesome companies. We have written links. Sorry, we have links. We have coupon codes. We have affiliate links, all in the written description of this podcast. Thank you to these companies for sponsoring us. They are InvisibleSpeed.net, High Tech RC, Sun Pedal USA, Sidewinder USA, Mayako, Hot Race Racing Tires, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Ignite Design RC, Racecraft USA, Lugs Racing Tires, Call RC, WRCE. Shout out to WRCE. We'll be working with Dany. House of RC, who just reached 7,000 members. Congratulations to Connie on that. That's a great achievement. RCGP, and shout out to our drivers, David Ronafalk, Jared Tebow, Robert Batty, and Alexander Hagberg. Congratulations to Alexander Hagberg on his 8th European title. And tomorrow is Wednesday, as we're recording this, so he'll get to watch the next episode of The Mandalorian, which is great as well. So, Max, by the time this comes out, I'll be in Florida. I don't know what I'll be doing in Florida, but I'm pretty sure it'll be hot, and I'll be having some frosty beverages with the locals there, and I'm hanging out with my friends and helping Dany set up. I look forward to that. See everybody on the NNRC Southeast tour. Also, I forgot to say, I forgot I had this. So I bought this back home after RCGP in UK. So SJ Shantler bought this for me the year they had this race, the DXR Dirt Kings, back in 2019. And I finally got it from him, and I found it in my closet. Because I was looking for this shirt, and I got all these shirts, right? And I was like, where did my wife put my shirt? And I finally found it today, so I wore it. So thank you, Ashley Shannon. DXR, Dark Kings. I would love to see this race come back, or a race similar to this, and be popular and get the Americans over there to race against the Europeans. So
that was the race. That was the race where Lutz won, right?
Yes, him and Ongaro had that vicious battle.
That was actually a great
great
main
race.
Event.
Great race, great main event. 45 minutes of pure racing. Yeah. Pure racing. All right, with that said, Nitro is the glory. E-Buggy pays the bills. If you ain't grinding, you're sliding. Max, you're actually at the end of a podcast, and your camera isn't dead. What a miracle. What a miracle. Max and Lefty, remember, we want your comments in the YouTube. And hit that sub button, that notification button, like, dislike, leave a comment. Max at full salute. Max and Lefty, we're out.